We got Mike Storey in the house. I am your host, Chop Liver, as they call me, a.k.a. Rob. What's going on, Storey? The draft is finally over. It's finally done.
Draft is over, but
You excited?
the real work begins now. Now we need to parse out the redraft scenarios. We need to parse out what the dynasty landscape looks like. This is where things get hot and heavy. OTAs are not that far off. We're going to have spring activities right around the corner, and then we'll have rookie mini camps, OTAs. We'll be in training camp before you know it.
I am just happy that the draft is over. I know you're a college football guy. I'm not so much. So, like, the amount of work I put into this, just, with a blank slate, which is nice, but I got to learn all these guys' profiles, learn how to pronounce some of their names. So I'm just really happy.
I don't even know how to feel right now. I'm like, I don't even know. I'm happy.
Well,
I'm happy.
What year was that? That was like,
that was this year. That's Keldrick Folk, 32nd pick.
Wild.
Mouth in the chat. Shout out to Mouth. We got Dakota in here as well. Mouth says CJ Daniels, his guy, the steal, proving that crime pays for the LA Rams and wide receivers in the late rounds of NFL drafts. This is the running back show, but we'll talk about CJ Daniels for a second because Mouth was really high on him. Very good contested catch guy, and I feel like Mumfield was okay last year. This guy's like a souped-up Mumfield.
Yeah, he had quite a few touchdowns. I think he had like 6 touchdowns last year. It was at least half a dozen. Might have been more than that. Might have been 8, somewhere in that range. So not a whole lot of yardage, though. I think he was under 600 yards receiving. He also spent several years at Liberty, so a lower level of competition before 1 year at LSU. Mouth, correct me if I'm wrong. And then his final year on Miami. He's a good prospect, but he's really raw. There's a lot that needs to happen for him to take the next step. And I'm not convinced that it's anytime soon. Hopefully, he can get on the field a little bit this year. We'll see him progress. And then 2027, Matthew Stafford comes back, and he could be a nice fantasy asset in redraft leagues, potentially, if Devontae Adams moves on.
It seems like a Devontae Adams insurance based on the hamstrings and his age, because he does comp as a guy that's kind of ready to be a red zone threat, right? And I'm not saying he's amazing by any stretch as a rookie, but a guy that could be a nice third wide receiver. They're always looking for that guy when they're not playing 13 and 14 personnel. Yes, I said 14 personnel because of Mr. Max Clare. So this show, Storey, we're going to go running back landing spots. At the end of the show, we're going to go through some of these tight ends. Guys, only 10 running backs were drafted this year. 22 tight ends were drafted. Unreal numbers. A lot of those guys were blocking tight ends, but 10 running backs drafted. We can highlight a couple guys that went undrafted that signed. My boy Miles Montgomery to the Patriots in particular, because we know Travion Henderson's a bum. But we're going to go through all 10 of these guys, and it's a good exercise, Story, because I told you not to do a lot of prep for the show. I kind of want to go through and just have discussions about these guys, and I'm kind of viewing it in a three-way lens here. One is draft capital, which matters a lot for running backs, and not a lot of these guys have the draft capital. Second is talent, perceived talent, like where we like these guys going into the draft. And the third is the actual landing spot, competition, right? Depth chart. Where are they going to stack up just going into minicamp, and can they carve out a role? And I remember specifically on this show a couple of years ago, Story, we had a really good discussion about Bucky Irving, and it was the Rashad White coming off that awesome volume-driven year. And I was really high on Bucky Irving coming out of college. I had him like RB5. Way ahead of consensus. You were down on him, but you were really down on Rashad White. So I think what our discussion had was, I love Bucky, you hated Rashad White, and we were like, this is a great spot. Even if you don't like Bucky, like, it's not a lot of competition. So Nick Singleton's kind of a guy in that mold, right, of not a lot of competition. But we actually both like Nick Singleton.
I do like Nick Singleton. We talked about it in our rookie running back rankings quite a bit. Nick Singleton is far and away my superior prospect to what's his name? No, the other guy there,
Allen.
Yeah, Allen. But if you're hunting for sleepers on day 3, I mean, you could do a lot worse than Nick Singleton out of Penn State. I mean, that's a solid landing spot. That depth chart at running back there's a lot of Tony Pollard, yeah, he had a couple of good games towards the end there, but Tajay Spears is a nice receiver, credible receiver. He's dealt with some injury issues, and he's never really kind of like assume that feature back role when he's had the opportunity. We always thought like when he's given the reins, he's going to run with it. He never had. I mean, mixed college career for Singleton a little bit, but I love the pass catching, right? He has some injury history himself. I think he's going to have a chance right now to take some of the passing down work and eventually work himself into a bigger role. I wouldn't expect much for redraft this year, but for a day 3 pick for a dynasty draft, I think Nick Singleton is a solid guy you could take a shot on.
So before we get into all the running backs, I was watching like a random NFL top 10 on YouTube today. It just popped up, and it was like craziest trades, like midseason trades. And the Trent Richardson trade came up, and that was actually a midseason trade. It was after week 1, and Jim Irsay was going crazy over the trade. But the thing I thought was hilarious was they got a first rounder. The Browns got a first rounder for Trent Richardson. Do you know who that player was they took the next year?
Couldn't tell you.
Johnny Manziel.
Was it Johnny Manziel?
Funniest trade of all time. So they get Trent Richardson. They're celebrating, and the Browns are like, this guy's a bum, bad work ethic, slow as hell, terrible player. And then they go and take Johnny Manziel. So actually, Storey, I want to ask you, who won this trade? Because, I mean, is that the worst trade in the history of the world?
Man, God, they are really part of some bad trades, aren't they? That is wild. I guess the Colts won. I guess. I don't know. Can neither team win? How's that? Neither team won.
That's like a car crash where both people are fatalities. You know what I mean? Again, they were both drunk. They're both on pills, and they both died. That's exactly what that was. And I thought that was hilarious because I always comment about the Trent Richardson trade and Jim Irsay's like tweets and how happy he was, and just how funny that trade was because you trade a first round pick for a guy that had 3.6 yards per carry his rookie year. Yeah, he had like 12 touchdowns, but the eye test wasn't great. He was a great player at Alabama. And then I found out today, I didn't know about this, that Johnny Manziel was actually the player that they picked. The Browns picked with that pick. Just all-time epic stuff.
9/11 changed everything, Brian. 9/11 changed everything.
Peter, you didn't even know what 9/11 was until 2004.
That's not true, Brian. I remember 9/11. Must have been a woman pilot, eh?
I should not laugh at that. That's ridiculous.
It's funny. That's why you should.
I do not remember that clip. I don't remember. That's ridiculous.
One last thing I got to talk about with you here.
Real quick,
Mal's going to love this one. What do you got?
Yeah. I just want to know what year that was, that Trent Richardson trade. I remember it was a blockbuster trade at the time. We see more of those now.
Probably 2012.
Yeah, that one was extremely shocking, I think. In any event, yeah.
Well, it's just funny that Trent Richardson got, he was drafted 4th overall, and then a first round pick was traded for him. So he essentially 2 teams spent a first rounder on Trent Richardson. Just fucking. And meanwhile, Derrick Henry went 41st in an NFL draft. Like these guys, Mel Kiper, scouts, GMs, they don't know what the hell they're doing. They don't know what the hell they're doing.
Derrick Henry was a 2nd round pick. Jonathan Taylor was a 2nd round pick. Luther Burden was a 2nd.
Arian Foster was undrafted.
Arian Foster, yeah, the biggest undrafted guy. I mean, like who's the bigger undrafted gem, him or Austin Eckler?
Ooh, Austin Eckler for fantasy purposes because he was such a hero. But yeah, both were awesome. Wally says Rob and Sexy Man Story. Wally fucking loves you, bro. He loves you. Mouth has a Johnny Manziel story. Here's another story about Manziel. Jerry Jones wrote Johnny Manziel on the draft card that year. Steve Jones said, F no, we aren't doing this, and decided to draft Zach Martin instead, who's going to be a Hall of Famer. So I didn't hear that. They actually took the card away from him. That's wild.
Speaking of owners with picks, did you hear about the Steve Biscotti situation with the Ravens?
Yeah, with my boy Randall.
Yeah, where basically the owner was coming hat in hand asking the GM if he could make a pick. If I'm the owner and I really want a guy, I'm like, hey, F you, we're taking this guy regardless. And if you got a problem with it, there's the door. But I guess Steve Biscotti is like, maybe we could pick that Adam Randall.
That's a good owner, though. He's not stepping on toes. And they gave him 1 pick, and it was a running back, and actually not a bad pick. We'll get into that in a second. We forgot to mention Tom Brady. I think Tom Brady is just kind of obvious. We were more talking recent history. John Randall, undrafted.
We're talking about undrafted.
And you mentioned Luther Burden, who is not a running back. But
those 2 guys, undrafted. Who was a better selection?
John Randall, undrafted. What a monster he was.
Austin Eckler just got medically cleared this week. So he's floating around, and I'm guessing he'll be picked up come training camp when injuries start cropping up. I mean, supposedly he's fully healed from the Achilles.
I know a really good landing spot, a team that loves running backs. It's the Cardinals. And the Cardinals pick up Austin Eckler and just have 6 guys running out there. Draft Jeremiah Love third, pay him the second most money in the league, and just not use him. That'd be great.
That would be great. Yeah, I feel bad for Tyler Algier. What an absolute horrid situation he's in.
One last point on the Johnny Manziel thing that I thought was funny was Mel Kiper had him as his number 1 player that year. I mean, it wasn't that crazy because it wasn't like he was a 3rd-round pick, but he went, it was 29th overall. That's a whiff, bro. That is a whiff. Like, you're not reading any tea leaves about the guy. We all knew Johnny Manziel was troubled. We didn't know he was this troubled, but he was also like 190 pounds, bro.
Where did Mel Kiper have Shedeur Sanders last year?
Oh, really high. He was his number 1 guy again. Yeah. Mel Kiper's so bad, dude. I mean, he literally is a first take guy. He just wants to like throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. Where like Todd McShay actually does the work, I feel like. And none of them are perfect, but I respect Todd McShay. Mel Kiper is just he's awful, and he gets so angry, and he still has a bias against the Colts because the Colts fired him he was like in their front office for a little bit, and just like slanders the Colts at every turn, kind of like I slandered Travion Henderson. It's kind of like that.
Yeah, that could come back and bite you this year. I guess we'll see come October.
I don't think so. They have Miles Montgomery, baby. I do want to talk about Mouth's guy Adam Gase and Mouth. I think we've all been talking about this. Mouth's been most adamant about Adam Gase and his meth and drug use, and this is apparently cocaine use. Did you see what Le'Veon Bell said?
No, I didn't see that. What came out today?
Well, Le'Veon Bell, just to give you a little backstory on this, Le'Veon Bell has been an anti-Adam Gase guy from the time he coached him and just been like on the record for years, like not giving it up. Essentially like Mel Kiper with the Colts. This is Le'Veon Bell with Adam Gase. And he essentially said many times he'd walk into his office before a meeting and Adam Gase is doing blow. Like that's a quote. It's right here. So do you remember the Miami defensive line coach or offensive line coach that got busted sending the videos to his like lover and he was doing blow right before the meetings? That went viral. So essentially he's saying it's like this. Adam Gase was always on drugs, doing it in the facilities, doing it before meetings. Makes sense though, because the guy's a psycho.
He is a psycho. He's a bad coach. He's a bad coordinator. I never thought he was one of the worst coaches that the Bears have ever seen. And that's saying something realistically. And he's also a shit human being. Pardon my French, but that guy is just a bad dude all around. Where is he now? Didn't
the Chiefs? Let me know in the chat who he's coaching somewhere. I think it might be the Chiefs, bro. Which actually fits into their thing. What do you think the odds are this story is true, and whether it happened a bunch of times, or even if he caught him one time, you can't be doing blow in a facility and to be a head coach, leader of men. Chargers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, him and McDaniel. McDaniel possibly cokehead as well.
Yeah, man.
Give me your percentage chance that this is right. What do you think? 50%?
Yeah, 50% sounds about right. I mean, these guys are known to make some things up on occasion. I'm not saying that Le'Veon Bell is lying here because but it's it's a different culture. It's a different environment in the NFL. So it wouldn't surprise me either way.
That's it's one thing to accuse someone, be like, I think he was on coke, or he was like, he gave details, essentially saying he saw him, witnessed him doing cocaine to like start his day.
Go for it, go. Go for it.
Well, somebody's chipper this morning.
Oh, you guys are there all this time? I didn't see you.
Yeah, we just didn't want to interrupt your morning routine. Is doing cocaine every morning your routine, Frank?
Yeah.
Adam Gase, baby. Before the meeting, gotta get all tuned up. Lead the troops into action, bro.
Yeah. And
we forgot about Harbaugh.
Yeah,
Harbaugh's there too. So Harbaugh is not really he's an anti-drug guy, I bet, but he's also a nutcase.
He's weird, man. He's a weird dude. But him and McDaniel, that could be some wild stuff.
Mel was pissed about Shedeur, went in the 5th round. Just like our boy was super happy about Ty Simpson going 13th overall. He was bragging about that. It doesn't make you right. Just so you know, it doesn't make him right that Ty Simpson went in the 13th overall, that he's the second best quarterback, or he's the best quarterback in this draft. Like
one of the Browns beat writers came out and said that Watson has the inside track on the starting job there, but Casey Concepcion came out and said that he's excited to work with Shedeur Sanders, which would seem to imply that he knows that Shedeur is going to be. I guess, I mean, he met with Colorado before he transferred over to Texas A&M, so maybe that's where it's coming from. But I don't know, man. There's a lot of moving pieces in that Browns offense.
Dakota's rock hard because the man has the most shares of Deshaun Watson of anyone in best ball history already. Every draft I'm in with him, he's taking Deshaun Watson. So, if that happens, he's going to win some money for sure.
Yeah. If he gets back to form and you're taking and before he's named the starter, you're taking shares of him real late. That'll be interesting.
One last point on CJ Daniels. Mouse says Daniels was hurt for a whole season, hence the yardage and TD deficiencies in Miami because fuck Carson Beck. And when I watched, this is one of the reasons I was really low on Carson Beck, was watching CJ Daniels film, and he was just like throwing him murder balls, not medicine balls, not concussion ball, like murder balls, just like throwing into triple coverage, just over the top, and like somehow CJ Daniels came down with these passes. So take that,
take that for what it's worth. Beck, though, I believe the Cardinals organization came out and said that they were impressed with Carson Beck's experience, and that's a plus. Which now that throws a bit of a monkey wrench into the situation with Jacoby Brissett and who's starting there. If I had to put the over/under on the number of games that Beck starts this year, I would put it at 2.5. I think he's going to get a few starts, not just due to injury, but like I don't think Jacoby Brissett is a tenable force for that offense.
I'm still kind of laughing about the Deshaun Watson thing because I just don't think that there's just no way. They're not trying to win this year. I understand coaches need to save their jobs, but like they have to. The Shedeur Sanders, how many games, Storey? Who's starting the year? The gun to your head. Who's starting the year this season, 2026, for the Cleveland Browns?
So here's the way I look at it. Watson's gone from the Browns, right? They are eager and itching to get out of that contract after 26, and they should be able to. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
So if I'm the Browns and we're not playing for this year, why would I put what I think is my future of the organization in Shedeur Sanders at risk? I'm just throwing Deshaun Watson out there. And if that dude gets a broken leg, so be it, versus putting Shedeur Sanders out there, who is our 5th-round savior of the organization. I mean, that's just the way I look at it. Like, I know that they want to get a good look at Shedeur Sanders. And let's not mince words. He played poorly last year. Dylan Gabriel is clearly not the answer. If I think that we're going to get a good pick, or early pick, and there's a nice crop of quarterbacks coming next year, I'm going to draft one. He's going to compete with Shedeur, but I don't want Shedeur getting hurt and tearing an ACL in week 12 this year.
Arizona has 6 running backs currently on roster. The Browns have Shedeur Sanders, Deshaun Watson, Dylan Gabriel, and Taylon Green at quarterback because that makes all the fucking sense in the world. They got to cut Dylan Gabriel, right? Like that's the thing. Even though they spent a 3rd-round pick on him, like he is terrible. Like as much as we say Deshaun Watson's bad and Taylon Green's a project, like Dylan Gabriel profiles as a backup at best in the NFL, at best.
Yes, I agree wholeheartedly. They didn't draft. I mean, I guess they drafted Taylon Green with the possibility that he drafted him late enough that they could just cut him, no big deal. But you got a pretty good look at Dylan Gabriel last year throughout camp and during the season. So he couldn't beat out Shedeur Sanders. I'm sorry. Goodbye. 3rd-round pick. It sucks, but whatever.
Dude, the fact that you think that they already assume that Shedeur Sanders is their future, like this is my argument is that he is not, because the 5th-round draft capital, and we all agree he's probably a 2nd or 3rd-round talent, but those guys flop out all the time, and Shedeur Sanders was bad last year, so they have to see what they have this year. Like, he's going to start at least half the year, and maybe Deshaun Watson gets the other half. They're not going to say sit and rest for a year and also watch Deshaun Watson and just watch this guy play. I don't know. I just don't see any upside in playing Deshaun Watson. He probably is the best guy. I'm not saying that. Teams do make dumb decisions. But maybe the fact that teams make dumb decisions means that Deshaun Watson might be the quarterback, because I just don't see the reason to do it. Why even play the best guy? It's like, you want to win a couple more games? I don't think so.
Well, we talked about this extensively at the end of last season. NFL teams, NFL coaches, players, they don't see it like we do when it comes to, I mean, some do. So, I mean, that's why Miami got dinged, right? Because they were tanking. Coaches don't necessarily see it the way that we see it, in that, oh, I don't want to win any games. You still have the fan base that you have to answer to. And if you go, 2-15, that's not ideal. And things start to, shit rolls downhill. right? And these coaches are playing or are coaching for their jobs. Players are playing for their jobs. So it's tough for me to believe that a team's going to give up before the season even starts.
Did you see what Shedeur Sanders' brother? It's Shiloh Sanders, right?
Yes.
Did you see what he said to the reporter? The reporter asked, like, he plays in the Bucks, right? And the female reporter was like asking about the controversy there in Cleveland, which makes no sense. He told her, Blake says to get back in the kitchen. The quote was, "Go make me a sandwich." That's great, dude. That's a good old fashioned sexism right there.
Okay, all right. Why was she asking about the Browns if she's a Bucks beat reporter?
Just for clicks, and she got it because he made the sandwich reference, right? Like. Yeah. That's literally straight out of Bad Santa. I'll make you a sandwich. All right. Let's go with the intro here, and then we have to talk about running back landing spots. So one last little Mike Vrabel thing. I gotta shout out Jonathan in the Discord for this when he sent this to us. And I want to ask you if you remember these videos because the Bud Light commercials. They made one for Mike Vrabel.
I did see this one. Yeah,
this is amazing.
Bud Light presents Real Men of Genius.
Real Men of Genius.
This offseason, we salute you, Mr. Strictly Professional Hot Tub Guy.
Mr. Strictly Professional Hot Tub Guy.
While others use the spa to soothe their aching hamstrings, you use 104-degree water to go off the record until the entire news cycle explodes.
Just 2 pounds relaxing.
Ah, the beauty of Sedona. Red rocks, the breeze, the sounds of Mr. Kraft firing DJs for talking about a scandal that supposedly never happened.
Scrap the internet.
Each night, a magical revelation of erased Twitter feeds and leaked photos, and a wife who just called a divorce lawyer.
Deflategate!
Hilarious.
So good. Oh, I love those commercials, man. They got to bring those back.
Yeah, those were good.
We could bring them back or something. We need to do something about that. All right, let's get into rookie running back. Rookie landing spots, and let's make sure I have the right one up here. Shit's really wonky tonight.
Good radio.
Show the image. There it is. Is that the right one? There it is. It is good radio.
Yes,
you can help me out a little bit, Storey, you son of a bitch. All right, Jeremiah Love at the top, 3rd overall. Mouth just mentioned it. They have 6 running backs on the roster. Now, those guys, they'll be cuts. So let's talk about the landing spot first. We obviously love the talent, but in terms of the roster, the depth chart, how do you see this shaking down with, they signed Algier. I don't think they were expecting to draft a running back. I don't know why they did that because they had the 3rd pick all along. And then, restructuring James Conner and then Trey Benson, who is a former early 3rd round pick. It's really messy. So how do you shake this one down for us?
Well, Trey Benson is toast in my opinion. Now, I think the Cardinals were rattling around trying to get somebody to trade up for that spot, and nobody wanted to, so they kind of felt pigeonholed into taking Love here. I don't want to call this a worst-case scenario for Jeremiah Love, but, I mean, we talked about it. James Conner, Tyler Algier, Trey Benson, et cetera, et cetera. There's tons of guys there. The situation at quarterback's not great with Jacoby Brissett, his potential holdout. Who's your backup? Carson Beck, probably. I don't know that there's an improvement on the horizon. This is tough because he would look a lot better in Tennessee blue or Commanders red. As it stands, this feels like Breece Hall's first year with the Jets or Saquon's first year with the Giants or Ashton Genty's first year last year with the Raiders. No matter how good Love is, the situation itself is just really, really toxic. I guess toxic's not the right word, but it's not a good situation. He's a Dynasty 101, no question about it. It would have been worth a lot more if he was on one of those other 2 teams. I don't know where he's going best ball. I would guess he's an early 2nd, late 1st round pick, which seems really high to me Like a lot can happen between now and August.
Oh, it's end of the second, early third. It's moved, so that's
okay.
kind of fair.
Yeah, I mean, second round pick. I would guess that he moves up draft boards come redraft season because people do love the next thing. But you don't spend a third overall pick on a running back without planning to use him. Usually, we'll see what the Cardinals do here. Not a great landing situation. I'm not sure it could have been worse, realistically.
Well, the one upside thing he has is he's tied to a way better offense than the guys that you talked about previously that were on bottom 5 offenses. Now, this team is bottom 5. We saw with Jacoby Brissett at the helm, they're going to put up points. They're going to throw the ball to the running backs, especially a guy like Jeremiah Love. But Trey Benson's gone, but Connor and the Connor situation mostly. So is he going to get cut? Are they going to keep him? Because Algier is on the roster. He's the bowling ball. He's going to get some goal line carries, and that's fine. If it's just those two, I'm fine with it. If you have James Conner in the mix, even getting 5 or 6 touches, that's killing his value. That's a 3-way committee, man.
Yeah, but they seem to really like James Conner there, just on a personal level, so I'm not sure that he will get cut. I think Trey Benson will be cut real quick. And was it Bam Knight or Imari DiMarcado? One of the other guys there is gone. Maybe a practice squad guy, etc. So, man, like there's a lot to parse out. Like, is Algier going to be disgruntled? Is he going to get the goal line touches again? Because that's what he got in Atlanta. And we know that he's a bowling ball, a guy that's a great nose to the end zone. I have a real hesitation about drafting, not in Dynasty, because I think long-term it should be okay. But in redraft, that's a tough nut to crack in the second round when you've got guys like, in much more stable situations that are being drafted at the end of second, beginning of third.
Better goal line running back coming out, Bijan or Jeremiah Love?
Goal line running back?
Yeah. Comparable?
I mean, 18 touchdowns is a lot for Jeremiah Love.
I get it.
They're pretty comparable. I would say probably I give the edge to Jeremiah Love. Okay,
because Bijan's not a bad goal line running back, but Tyler Algier, by every metric, was an elite goal line running back last year, and Bijan was just above average. So I'm saying it's a similar situation that, like, we're going to get Bijan Robinson, Jeremiah Love like comp right there with the workload and specifically on the goal line, which is that's where fantasy matters. That's how you become a top 5 running back, is you get those cheapies. Now he is talented enough to take anything to the house and to have a 60 reception season, which is also where fantasy is made. But you got to pair the 60 receptions with goal line work if you want to be a top 5 back. I mean, that just has to happen.
Yeah. Well, I guess the other question is, like, if you take out the goal line stuff, we'll see how that shakes out. What is his receiving upside on there? Because although James Conner is not the best receiving back, he's a great pass blocker, and they really like him in the passing game there in Arizona. So what is Love's upside in the passing game? 50 catches, 60 catches his rookie season?
Yeah, it's probably his upside. It's not going to be a Saquon Barkley 80 catch season.
Right.
I wouldn't imagine. Not to mention you have, Marvin Harrison, Michael Wilson, Trey McBride, who's going to soak up a bunch of targets. So there's just not a lot to go around there. Let's move on to Jadarian Price. 32nd overall Storey. And considering the next running back didn't go until the end of the third round, seemed like a panic pick. A lot of reports said that the Seahawks are trying to trade out of that pick, and there was just no takers. So they just said, fuck it. We're going to take a running back because the Zach Charbonnet injury does not look great. But they brought in, they have George Halane. They brought in Emmanuel Wilson for a reason. We don't like the talent. The problem is we're not big Jadarian Price fans. So you mix that with, it's a pretty open depth chart, I suppose, but the Zach Charbonnet is going to come back, right? So it's going to get muddy, and we just don't love the talents, but he does have the draft capital. So is that the most important thing here?
I think it's pretty important. I'm not sure if it's the most important. Again, this felt like a kind of a luxury pick for the Seahawks. You mentioned it. It is a little bit of a crowded backfield, like not to the extent that people are harping on with Arizona and Jeremiah Love. But when you look at, they brought in Emmanuel Wilson. George Halane is a skill set that you could match to a third down role. They also came out and said that Jadarian Price is probably not going to be, what did they say today? I just looking that up. that Price won't have a bell cow roll right away. So insiders say we don't know who that was, but that could take some time to him ramp up. And then by the time he's ramped up, does Zach Charbonnet come back in? And what does Zach Charbonnet's role look like? Right. I was really excited about this at the time. Now that I've had some time to mull it over, I think I'm going to back off a little bit in redraft. I'm just not sure that he's gonna. What's his realistic projection? Is it 14 touches a game to start? It's difficult to say what they expect from this backfield. Emmanuel Wilson is no slouch, so him taking some reps from Janarian Price, I don't think he's slated in as a 18 touch guy just to start. 12 to 14 touches seems reasonable. So not the best landing spot for me.
His pass protection definitely was not great in college, so he's got to work on that. And his receiving profile is a projection because we didn't see it. So it's like those are two negatives where it's like George Alane, I know it was out of necessity in the Super Bowl, like he was playing in all those third downs, but that's pretty nice trial by fire for George Alane in the playoffs. So like clearly they're going to trust him next year if they trusted him enough to take Kenneth Walker off the field those 30% of the snaps. And then you made the point about Emmanuel Wilson, like maybe it was because Josh Jacobs was so diminished when he was playing at the end of the year injured last year. Emmanuel Wilson looked like the better running back. Emmanuel Wilson has no tread on his tires. Why wouldn't they? They're in a win now situation. Do you really trust, rookie running back? Like if Sam Darnold gets hit from his blind side, like there's just a lot of negatives with Jadarian Price. I'll tell you this: day one, he's going to be the kick returner story. That doesn't help us for fantasy, though.
No, that really does. I mean, unless you have return yardage in your league, which some leagues do now. So
I hate those.
Well, we're in a league that does that, so
I know, and I don't like it. I refuse to draft him. Let's move on to Kalon Black, your boy. You love this kid. How surprised are you that he went in the third round? Not so much in the third round. He went as the third running back off the board, which nobody had in their bingo card. I think you had him like running back 8, and that was pretty high compared to consensus. But the Niners, they always find their gems. They're undrafted guys. They're 6th-round guys. They made a weird pick here. Although you like the player, break this down for me. Like, is he the immediate backup over Jordan James? Because Jordan James is more of a pass catcher, correct?
Yeah, he's definitely more of a pass catcher. I mean, he's gonna have to compete with Jordan James and Isaac Guerrero for reps behind Christian McCaffrey. McCaffrey's still the guy. Age 32 season, but McCaffrey is a mutant, so I wouldn't worry about that. There's no guarantee, even though he was a 3rd-round pick. There's no guarantees for Kalon Black here. I like him. I like the tape. The numbers aren't gaudy, but they went through a lot of backs there at Indiana. He was, I don't know, consensus RB12. So him going, he probably ticked up a little bit, but RB3 is a bit of a reach. I think that we should start really holding John Lynch accountable for these reaches in rounds 2 and 3. It seems really aggressive to me. I loved Kalon Black, but again, a 3rd-round pick when he would have been there in the 5th, I think pretty easily, is less than ideal. But when they like their guys, they tend to let them have an opportunity to work out. So is he going to work out there? I don't know. It's a good landing spot. If he can get the number 2 job, and they seem to like to have a number 2 guy, like can he slot in what Brian Robinson did last year? In which case, he's a guy that you're going to want to have on your fantasy rosters, dynasty and redraft. I think there could have been worse landing spots, especially when you consider that he was a 3rd-round pick.
Draft capital is huge. Dakota says Niners had him at number 2 running back on their board going into the draft. Black is a professional pass blocker. I'm going to break it down like this. So my wife was asking about the situation, and I kind of broke it down to her like this. Yes, they did have him that high on their board, but nobody else did. At least we don't think they did. So I broke it down to her like this. Like last year, I had Chris Olave as my 10th rated receiver, but he was going wide receiver 30. I didn't take Chris Olave in the 3rd round. I reached on him around. I got him in the 6th round everywhere, right? And that's how I broke it down. Now, Chris Olave would have still been a good pick in the 3rd round last year, right? Just like Kalon Black might still be a good pick in the 3rd round this year. I just don't like, if you do that, track record, do that in a long-term, like 10 drafts, right? Like it's going to hurt you. Like sometimes you just got to take value because there are other players available. But if they love this kid this much, they spent the 3rd round pick on him. I tend to love it for fantasy. My only concern is the Niners are a really good franchise and they will play the best guy. So I feel like if Jordan James is better than him, they will play Jordan James ahead of him.
Yeah.
That's the one concern there. They're not tied to this guy with a third-round pick because you saw how quick they got rid of Trey Lance, who was a quarterback, and they traded up for. They said, fuck it. The Bears would have had Trey Lance in the roster for 3 goddamn years, Storey.
I respect that about the Niners. They understand opportunity cost when it comes to playing the guys that are on the roster and the guys that they think give them the best position to win. That said, I don't think they understand opportunity cost as it comes to drafting, because what did they give? They didn't just give up a third-round pick. They gave up a guy like a playmaking potential edge or corner or tackle or somewhere in that range where they could have gotten Black or an equivalent. I mean, I know they love the guy, but come on, what's the difference between Kalen Black and realistically like
Jamari Taylor
is a great pass blocker, right?
Yeah.
He's a great pass blocker. So if they like him as a pass blocker, Katron Allen went many rounds later. Why are you getting him in the third? This is, I don't think that we should be, I don't think we should be holding up John Lynch as some savior for the organization. I think they're smart enough to play the guys that give them the best chance to win. So it's a great position if he can beat out these other 2 guys in camp. I don't know that a third-round draft capital is going to make a difference realistically in Kyle Shanahan's mind.
The saving grace is, I know John Lynch has had some misses, but he's had a lot of hits, and this team knows how to develop running backs, and Kyle Shanahan's scheme is unreal. So I'm going to kind of give them the benefit of the doubt more than I would if the Raiders did this or the Browns or the Dolphins. You know what I'm saying? Like, that would be crazy, crazy shit. But the fact the Niners did it, they don't have the best track record in the third round with these running backs. They do better with the 6th round guys. Last question on Kalen Black for your Story. If it's positive-ish reports coming out before the draft season, would you draft him because he is possibly Christian McCaffrey's handcuff, which is the most valuable role for many reasons? Is he worthy of a handcuff draft pick, right? A 16-round draft. Is he worthy to be taken ahead of, Ollie Gordon, for instance, or some of these other fringe guys, Kamani Vidal, guys like that?
Yeah, I think so, 100%. Like we have discussed many times that the number 2 role, although it didn't really pan out last year because we expected McCaffrey was going to miss a few games and the guy is just superhuman, but he is entering his age 32 season. I want that guy. I mean, I don't know of a better, we had talked about who's the best handcuff last year, Tyler Algier, no question. Who's the best handcuff this year? Is it the guy behind Christian McCaffrey? I don't know that I would want a different handcuff I think he's the number 2, if it's clear and obvious. Now, it might not be clear and obvious. We missed out on Jordan Mason because none of the beat reporters were reporting that Jordan Mason was the guy. So if these guys can't get their act together and report on real, what's actually happening, we might miss out on it. And then if McCaffrey goes down in week 1 and it's all of a sudden we had heard it's Isaac Guerrero, and then they give the role to Kalen Black, well, we're kind of screwed there. But we're kind of at the mercy of the 49ers organization. They're not really forthcoming with their depth chart when it comes to running backs.
The answer for who's the number 1 handcuff is the same guy that's going to be in 2040, same guy that's been the last 3 years. He's going to be in the league forever because he's not going to get any treadless tires. It's Tyler Algier. He's going to be forever be the number 1 handcuff guy drafted, and it's never going to change. It's never going to change. He's just the best, right? And just never gets the opportunity. Wherever he goes, they'll just draft someone better.
Poor guy. I mean, the other thing is his contract, it felt like a steal. I don't know why. I think he went there because I think he probably took less money, figuring he didn't want to be in committee, and they probably promised him you're the guy. And then Jeremiah Love is on the board. Nobody wanted our pick at 3. I guess we'll just take him and we'll see how it all works out. And so I kind of feel bad for Algier. But I mean, maybe it's a good thing. He could probably still get another contract, and he's not going to have as much tread as he would if he was the guy on a pretty crappy team.
Miles says, if Smith and Shanny fail this year, they're out. Do you think there's any chance they fire Kyle Shanahan just because it's are you going to get anything better than that guy? Is there anything better available?
No, I think him and Lynch go hand in hand. I think those two are 2 peas in a pod. And until the management or until the owner decides that they're done with John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan probably has free reign there as a coach.
Would you rather have Ben Johnson or Kyle Shanahan going forward?
Shanahan.
Okay. Well, I was just saying, I get Ben Johnson there because he's a young upstart guy. We've kind of seen Kyle Shanahan, some of his shortcomings. And I would agree, it's Kyle Shanahan, but that's the bar. Ben Johnson's probably top 6 coach right now in the league if you want to poll people in terms of up and coming coaches.
Are you talking about on a specific organization or just flat out?
Just with the Raiders. I always use Raiders as an example. It's the shit franchise.
Yeah.
Because Ben Johnson has 1 year, right? And just like I'm saying that's a top 6 coach, top 7 coach, right?
He's a top 5 coach, no question about it.
There you go. So why would you ever file Kyle Shanahan then if you can't even like who are you getting ahead of him? Like
I don't think they will. I think it's going to take, like I said, a couple of years underperforming, like busting out early in the playoffs. But like this isn't a team that's going to go under 500 very many times unless they have a ton of injuries. That year that Brock Purdy was injured, that caught up to them. So I like I said, I think until Lynch gets the heave-ho, I think Kyle Shanahan is going to remain there.
I knew Dakota would get pissed about this. He said 100% over Ben Johnson. I was using that as an exercise for a younger coach that clearly is not available. And the point is, if they're not taking Ben Johnson over him, then there's no coach you'd even want. Honestly, like you're not going to get Andy Reid because he's going to retire. You're not Sean Payton. You hate Sean Payton, but like Sean Payton's not available. Like really, who we talking about? Sean McVay is probably going to retire before he leaves the Rams. So there's not a lot of good coaches out there. And your boy there, McDonald, just won a Super Bowl. So
I like him. I like him a lot.
It's because it's one guy that's had been a nice success early on, and he'll do something stupid this year, and he'll go on your shit list, dude.
You know what it is? Like they give you the tools to be your own. That's from Step Brother.
Enterprise rental car, dude.
Yeah. They didn't like McDonald's. Like, let's put the screws to these guys in the first half. Now, second half, they definitely could back off because they were up by 4 scores in several games. But like, one of the reasons that I would rather have Ben Johnson on an established franchise, Kyle Shanahan on an established franchise, not unestablished, on an up and coming franchise, is because I think in the big games when it comes to like actually making things work out in the playoffs, Shanahan's a coward, and we've seen it time and time again. Like not just in the Super Bowls, but in multiple playoff games. So big games on the line, the guy turtles, and I don't like that. So yeah, I would rather like for a playoff.
Dakota's going to behead you. He's going to behead you if you keep on saying this. We got to move on though. We've talked about Kalen Black for way too long. Jonah Coleman, 4th running back off the board, 8th pick in the 4th round. Broncos. So this is the biggest question I want to ask you before we get into Jonah Coleman. Let's break down this Broncos running back situation. Is this a reflection of their trust for J.K. Dobbins or for R.J. Harvey? Who does this reflect worse on?
I think it's just going to be a 3-man committee. I'm not sure it reflects. I don't think that Sean Payton looks as a replacement for anybody. I think he looks at it another tool in the shed, another piece of the puzzle, another weapon that he can deploy. I did hear that they had hosted that the Broncos had hosted 2 running backs for visits and one of them was Jonah Coleman. The other one happened to be Kalen Black. So I think the draft community probably missed. Kalen Black was probably higher on these teams boards than we had expected. In any event, ball security, big thing, powerful runner, right? Great in pass protection. There's no question about Coleman's skills. It's about like what is his spot duty? Like what's his projection within the Broncos running back room alongside J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey? Dobbins gets hurt.
Short yardage. That's what it is.
Right? I mean, 25 rushing touchdowns across his last 2 seasons. So the guy absolutely is a short yardage back. Excuse me. And we saw that Harvey had a nice nose to the end zone, but his actual rushing metrics were abysmal last year. This, red zone option, probably not much in the passing game, but he probably comes in on passing down for his pass protection. I have trouble with this landing spot for all 3 of these guys. It just feels like a nasty, nasty committee to me.
Well, what are they doing? Because they traded up for R.J. Harvey last year, right? That was a 2nd-round pick for a guy that most people had in the 4th round out of UCF. And John Elway, you know what? Shout out John Elway.
I'd like to start out this press conference with a thank you to John Fox.
John Fox, remember that guy?
Oh, it starts a press conference by thanking himself. Very John Elway-like. So I am much more worried about J.K. Dobbins for this situation. He was going in best balls that I've seen 10th round, 10th round, and then R.J. Harvey was like a 5th round pick. Now, R.J. Harvey's fallen to the 7th round, and J.K. Dobbins hasn't fallen as much. Like J.K. Dobbins is off my board. There's no point in drafting him because he's not going to catch passes, and now he's not going to get goal line work. So he's going to get 8 to 10 carries a game. At least RJ Harvey gives you the big play potential and clearly the passing down work, where Jonah Coleman's just going to steal those shorties.
So there is a wrinkle here, and it's that Sean Payton absolutely hates rookies. So how long does it take Jonah Coleman to actually work his way into a substantial role? Payton loves veterans. He hates rookies. RJ Harvey was kind of forced into action last year due to injuries. I don't know. Like, I don't know that Sean Payton is going to. I think it's probably going to be a lot more J.K. Dobbins at the beginning of the year than we expect.
Ugh, that's gross. That's gross. So are you out on RJ Harvey? I know we're talking a lot about these other guys, but it's a big conversation with Jonah Coleman because what they do really reflects on what we can expect from Jonah Coleman, right? The role we're trying to project.
And I project that this role is probably going to be a nasty 40, 30, 30 timeshare. Eventually. The beginning of the year, it's probably going to, like I said, it's probably going to be more J.K. Dobbins than we expect. Probably like 60, 30, 10, because it's going to take Coleman some time.
Oh, 60% for Jake. What are you smoking, Storey? I see you coughing. You're smoking something, dude.
Go back and look at what his opportunity share was in the first 4 games of the year last year.
RJ Harvey was a rookie, though. That's
what I'm saying. So why is Jonah Coleman going to supplant J.K. Dobbins when Jonah Coleman is a rookie?
Because J.K. Dobbins is terrible and he's had yet another injury and is a year older. Like,
yeah,
we've seen this before every year.
RJ Harvey is terrible in the run game, right? And yet he couldn't supplant J.K. Dobbins until he got injured. So I'm not sure that when somebody shows you their stripes, a la Sean Payton, got to believe him until they prove you otherwise. Like, he hates rookies. That is a fact.
Dakota says, I'm not pissed. Ben Johnson has done nothing. He was the offensive coordinator on the best offense with Jared Goff playing quarterback for 2 years. And then he pretty much culture-wise and everything with the Bears last year was awesome. It was a total win.
Yeah, but they had a 4th place schedule last year. Let's see how they do.
All right. Yeah. You can't, anything you say about coaches, I'm not going to fucking listen to. We got Stephen King, the great Stephen King in here. Hopefully he's still in here. I just saw your message. My local bartender, the bar closed, unfortunately. Hit me up, Stephen King. We'll get together. He's also a great writer and a great guy. Wally says, Storey hates every single NFL head coach. Very, very, very true. Jonathan, I like Adam Randall's situation long-term. We'll get to him in just a little bit, Jonathan. Mouth wants the bathroom clip. I had to take it off, Mouth. I ran out of fucking room, unfortunately. And he said, and Mouth says, yes, Storey, choke on your propaganda.
Which one? Because I think we've had a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Dobbins won't stay healthy. That's my point. But I also just think that Dobbins he's a depth piece, man. He's a trusted veteran. Like this, I don't even like RJ Harvey. The thing is, I loved RJ Harvey coming out of college more than everyone else. And last year, when he got the role, it was a Travion Henderson situation. Everyone was like, RJ Harvey's elite. I was like, nah, he's not elite. He's fine. And he's okay. I think he's the best running back in this room, though.
You think RJ Harvey's the best running back in this room?
Yes.
Best running back? You think he's a better running back?
All-around running back. Yes, I know that.
His outstanding 3.3 yards per carry last year. You think that is a better indicator of production than what Jonah Coleman had the last 2 years at Washington? An outstanding program.
All right. Well, one at the 2nd round draft capital, one at 4th round draft capital. Sorry.
Okay.
Gotcha. I got him, baby. Eat it, Storey. Eat a dick, Storey. I got you.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. I never told anybody to lie, not a single time, never. These allegations are false.
They are false.
They are false. Didn't that aged very badly. Let's move on to Mike Washington Jr. Storey, a guy that we're not going to like the landing spot very much. I'm predicting here. 5th running back off the board. Sorry. 22nd pick in the 4th round to the Raiders. And Ashton Genty has mega draft capital. He's an awesome talent. This is strictly a handcuff play, and they saw value. They had these picks. They're just like, we're going to take a guy we maybe probably had as a 3rd round grade, maybe a 2nd round grade.
Yeah, super athletic. I know that Kluden Kubiak's one of his priorities was getting a depth piece in the backfield this year. It just happened to come in the form of a guy that we really liked during the draft process in Mike Washington. I mean, Mike Washington came out and said that he's excited to form a 1-2 punch with Ashton Genty. I don't see that being a thing. I think Ashton Genty is one of the few bell cows that we're going to see in this league going forward. Great running back prospect. I think he's got the potential to be a great wingman, great handcuff, but there is no fantasy upside here unless Ashton Genty gets hurt. Zero. Bupkis.
Let me play devil's advocate. Now, I agree with you. I just want to throw this out there. Clint Kubiak last year, Kenneth Walker was definitely the more talented runner, as much as we are big Zach Charbonnet guys. And it was a 50-50 split. Clint Kubiak did not draft Ashton Genty. He just drafted Mike Washington. So is there a chance this is a 70-30, 65-35? Or you're saying no shot?
No, there is a chance. And that would worry me if you're drafting Ashton Genty, because this organization, not exactly the smartest, the sharpest tools in the shed. They didn't use Ashton Genty properly at the beginning of the year. It took them several weeks before they started giving Ashton Genty the workload that man deserves. So, yeah, Kubiak is a known committee guy. It's just hard for me to envision that Clint Kubiak would be that, I don't want, irresponsible to not give a full workload to Ashton Genty. So I want to think that he's smarter than that. I guess it remains to be seen. There is a risk to Ashton Genty's profile in that Mike Washington is a super athletic guy. And if he takes passing down work, that's going to really hurt Ashton Genty's value.
Would you be more scared if it was Jonah Coleman there? Because Jonah Coleman is probably a better goal line, and Genty's a good goal line running back, but Jonah Coleman profiles as an elite goal line running back, where Mike Washington is more of just that toolsy guy that has the breakaway speed, but not the greatest pass catcher, not the best around the goal line, not the best in pass pro, not the savviest player. So that, it seems like he's more of a project. So it's kind of a guy to sit behind Ashton Genty for a year, and you're not winning anything this year. So if Genty gets nicked up, you just go full Mike Washington mode, which we would love for fantasy as a handcuff.
We would love that. I don't know if Jonah Coleman going there would affect Genty as much from a end zone perspective. I don't know that I would take Genty out the field for anybody in this league except for Jeremiah Love. I realistically think he's probably the best end zone or 10 zone running back in the league. So that doesn't concern, Coleman probably wouldn't concern me as much as this potential Mike Washington. If Clint Kubiak's I want to get a super athletic guy in the field in pass protection, that could affect Genty's snaps and his passing down work.
Jonathan, that's because Chip Kelly is the Michelin man and sucks at putting an offense together. Why Ashton Genty struggled. Chip Kelly sucks. He's the worst. And the whole situation with Chip Kelly,
Pete
what a mess last year.
Yeah, what an absolute disaster.
His son.
We all have to be thankful that Genty and Mendoza are actually coming into, and Brock Bowers. It's going to be a much better situation. Pete Carroll hiring, that's probably the worst hiring of a head coach, I would say, the last 10 years. But then we had what's his name, Matt Eberflus for the Bears. So, and John Fox, he was a terrible coach after he left Carolina.
And Helen Hunt. Hello, Helen.
Oh, hello, Helen. She's our good
looking
friend.
Great today, Helen.
Always.
All right, before we get to our number 5, I just want to shout out to the Patreon supporters here who keep the show going. Storey, I did 29. This is our 29th show during April. 29 shows in 30 days. And it's been a grind, man.
Yeah, there's only 30 days in this month. That's insane. I got to go see a man about a lizard or whatever.
Yeah. See a guy about a girl. So appreciate all you guys sticking through the offseason especially, but the content's pouring out. Guys, we have one spot left for our Dynasty League. We're drafting in about 2.5 weeks. So one spot left. If we don't fill it, we're just going to separate Big Ray and the Chaz, but I want to keep all the co-hosts co-managing teams against all of you guys individually because it is tough to co-host or to co-manage teams. So one spot left. Besides just that, which is a big perk, access to the Discord community, community fantasy leagues. We're going to do a lot of redraft leagues, but we do have the one spot for Dynasty. Guest appearances on the show. Dakota, Mouth, you've seen a bunch of these guys on here. Love to have you on here. Talk about Helen Hunt. Talk about how much Storey hates coaches and talk some ball, as well as free merchandise giveaways, guys. We're giving away hats. We're giving away shirts. Just sent a big load out to all you guys. That sounded awesome. And when you sign up, you're going to get some free shit. So, and the biggest perk of all, guys, you get the access to the bets, the early plays here We went 96 and 58 last year on player props. We're just printing money around here. You're going to get Mike Storey's college plays. You're going to get Mouth's NFL plays, his actual game lines. All mine are prop bets. And also win a lot of money. And professionalfanatics.com, link in the description for that. Also want to shout out Mouth South, Downtown Sports, guys. Just dropped an episode today. Link for that's in the description as well, or they're on YouTube as well, but on 23 platforms. So just search Downtown Sports wherever you find your podcast. Give them a listen. They're deep diving into NBA playoffs. If you like betting on the NBA, that's your place because we don't really cover that here. They cover it there pretty in depth. So check them out. Hop in the Patreon, support your boy, join the community. That's the biggest part, the best community ever. I said this last week during the draft that the counselor has 800 people in his Discord, and there was like 4 messages a day during the draft. We had like 500 a day. This thing was popping, man. It's only 40 people in there, but everyone is active. Everyone is passionate. Everyone knows ball. So I appreciate all of you guys. Jason, Dynasty 10 and Premium, Kyle Pitts for a first round 2027 pick, Travis Hunter for a third round in 2027. It's one trade. I'm rebuilding. It would give me 5 picks next year in the first 3 rounds. No points on defense for Travis, only offense. Yeah, I'd probably do that. I would probably do that, man, because next year's draft is super elite. So it's not like this year's draft. There's gonna be a lot of awesome offensive players, really good running backs, really good wide receivers, a bunch of good quarterbacks. So I would, if you're rebuilding, do it right now. Definitely Travis Hunter. I don't know. I mean, 3rd round pick. I don't know. Next year's draft, 3rd round pick's like a 2nd round pick this year. A 1st round pick's like a top 3 pick, even if you're in the middle of the 1st round. So what do you guys think in the chat for that one? Would you do that trade? And give you money in auction? Do it, man. You're rebuilding. Fuck it. Kyle Pitts is not long for that spot. We don't know where he goes. Let's be honest about Kyle Pitts. Last year, it was all at the end of the year when Drake London was hurt and Kirk Cousins was playing quarterback. Kirk Cousins cannot throw the ball past 20 yards downfield. The rest of Kyle Pitts' career has been bad. Now, I still think the arrow is pointing up, but this is a nice sell high for Kyle Pitts. And I would do that one, Jason, for sure.
Man. I just
Thank
drank
you, Mouth. What did you got?
I drank like half a gallon of water before we got on, so it finally caught up to me.
Oh, yeah, you have a bladder of a chick. Thank you, Mouth. Again, Downtown Sports Boys for his pod. The website is professionalfanatics.com for this one, or go to the description. Get in tonight. I will get you the invite for the Discord after the show, and you can be part of all these happy, awesome people you see in the chat every single night. So, Jar Jar, some of you other guys, I know you're in here a lot. Why not join the community? You're supporting a small business. You're supporting me. You're supporting us. And like I said, 29 shows, man. That was in April. Imagine when the season comes, Storey. I don't miss a night, and I'm going 3 hours a night during the season and answering all your questions. And, you know, the bets alone, Storey, are well worth the trip. If you sports bet, why not win money? Why not get free bets? Good bets. And your college bets.
I didn't think about it, but you're right. You're supporting a small business, which I think is very important in this day and age.
And you're getting your college bet, Storey.
That's true. We are going to start doing college stuff this year, so that'll be exciting.
I'm gonna blindly tell Storey, so he gets my my endorsements, and also best ball drafts as well. And here we go. We are on to Emmett Johnson, Storey. That is the 5th round, pick 21 to the Chiefs. So how do you break this one down? You didn't like Emmett Johnson. I liked him a lot more than you. I had my 2nd rated running back, so I love the talent. I kind of like the spot. You know, he's not going to start, but he's the 2nd guy.
The production in his last year was eye-popping, but prior to that, the guy was basically invisible, and there were car salesmen keeping off the field. That was my biggest issue with Emmett Johnson. The pass catching, though, this is an interesting spot. This is a fun spot, I think. We have seen this type of profile be valuable for Andy Reid-led offenses in the past. It'll be interesting to see if they get some screen passes dialed up for him, some passing game work. Is he going to overtake Kenneth Walker? No, absolutely not. But he's a skill position player that can be useful in spots. I doubt he'll be fantasy relevant to start. He's a nice handcuff, I think. We have also seen they do like using one kind of back, and this is that kind of back. The problem is they do run a bit of a committee, so I'm worried that this is going to run into or eat into both of their values here. But I'm interested to see what DeMarco Murray can do with him on the roster.
Answer this question real quick. I talked about when you were in the bathroom. Dynasty tight end premium. Guys rebuilding. Kyle Pitts for a first rounder in next year's draft, which is an awesome draft. And then Travis Hunter for a third rounder in next year's draft. Also frees up $35 in terms of free agent budget. So he would have 5 picks in next year's draft in the first 3 rounds.
That's a no-brainer. Like the beautiful thing is you never have to worry about Travis Hunter anymore. So that mentally you get him out of your life. And then Kyle Pitts is a guy who popped off a couple of times last year, and there's not a ton of receiving talent right now in Atlanta, but that cannot continue on. They will have to draft somebody next year. So Kyle Pitts is going to take a dynasty hit after this year, even though they do like him a little bit there. So I think that's a no-brainer trade.
Sweet. Hopefully it helped you out, Jason. Subscribe to the channel. Get insight like this every single night. Emmett Johnson story. I like it for long-term, but this year I don't think you're going to get much. He's in that handcuff range, but we don't even know if he's going to get the full workload. But I did tell you that I think Emmett Johnson is a guy that profiles as a pass catcher as well as a poor man's bell cow. Can we say poor man's bell cow? I just said it.
Sure, if you want, if that makes you feel better.
I guess the worry is he going to be the third down back, though? You know what I mean? That's the question.
Well, I do worry about that because we've seen several, although Kareem Hunt was kind of the guy a little bit last year.
Rashard Smith, though, they
do like, well, I don't know how much they like him. Like the guy could not crack the field last year. So after 1 year of no production there, I'm not sure that the guy is worth much anymore. So it's a bit of a concern that do they only trust Walker in between the tackles? You know, do they hear rumors from Seattle? I don't know. I worry a little bit. I think Walker's going to be fine. I'm not sure how long term. Like, what's it going to take for Emmett Johnson to actually be fantasy starter day in and day out? Because how long is Walker's contract there?
3 years.
3 years. So I mean, God,
it's an injury. Yeah, it's an injury thing. I mean, obviously, I'm looking for redraft this year. He is a handcuff, but he's in that realm of handcuffs that we don't really know if they're the handcuff, which I hate drafting. I just like the talent. I like the 3-down skill set. That's where I'll leave it there. We got to move on to the number 6 here. It's Nick Singleton, our boy, guy we love. We love this landing spot. The draft capital is not very good. It's a 5th round pick, end of the 5th round. But in this running back class, can we just kind of throw that out because all these guys went late besides Kaylan Black and Jadarian Price?
The 5th round is the new 3rd round, as far as I'm concerned, in the NFL draft.
There you go.
This year. So this is interesting long term. It's going to be an uphill climb year 1. You know, Tajay Spears and Tony Pollard have pretty much locked that backfield down. So I wouldn't even bother with a handcuff for Singleton. But you know, the dude is 6'1" or 6 foot, something like that, 225 pounds.
6 foot, 225. Yep.
Yeah, he's a blend of size, speed, explosiveness. You look at his numbers from
great pass catcher. Great pass catcher.
Yeah,
touchdown score.
Like 5,500 all-purpose yards. I don't know, 1 million touchdowns there, despite splitting time with Katron Allen. So eventually, like both Spears and Pollard are neither one of them is under contract after this coming year. So I'm excited for the opportunity. Like we'd be over the moon if Jeremiah Love had ended up in Tennessee, right? We'd be thrilled. So give it a year. Let's see where Singleton is next year.
This is the best spot for, you know, a guy overtaking. The other guys outside of Price and obviously Love, everyone needs an injury, right? Where maybe Jonah Coleman carves out that goal line role where like Singleton has a chance to actually carve out a 3-down workhorse starting running back role. And it's on an upstart offense with a pretty good coordinator there in Dayball. I love it. I think this is the gold standard for landing spots of all these guys. And it might take a while. It's one of these guys where you don't necessarily have to draft him because someone else might draft him and it might be slow going and they will drop him. I play a lot of deep leagues, so I will be drafting him. I'm taking him in best ball because I feel like, you know, the Titans might be better this year, but what is their cap for wins realistically? 9, 8?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean,
their cap, like the absolute ceiling.
The absolute ceiling is probably 9 this year. Yeah.
So there's no point in trotting out Tony Pollard anymore after week 7. Tajay Spears, I feel like this is a new regime too. And like Tajay Spears, as much as I'm a big Tajay Spears fan, dude can't stay healthy, and he is not an early down banger. He is a scat back at best. Super dynamic when he gets the ball in his hands, but yeah, man, I'm all about Nick Singleton here.
He's not been able to stay healthy, so there is an opportunity. But you're right, you don't have to draft him in redraft. Somebody will he'll probably go. I would expect he would go wholly undrafted. Like there aren't guys that are high on. Like the name's Nick Singleton. If you talk to a casual fan, they probably have never heard of him before. So there's no reason to draft him. Wait, see how things are progressing. Wait till Spears gets that injury, and then scoop him up.
Is there a chance? Is he going to be inactive the first couple games? How would you project that? Because who was the guy, Hunter, Jarquez Hunter for the Rams last year? Everyone was drafting in best ball because they're like, this just shows us that like they don't like Blake Corum and Kyron Williams got a cheap contract. Never saw the field. So this is not that situation, right? Like, do you see him being active to start the year and getting a couple touches in the mix, or no? Is this a wait and see?
I mean, I see him being active for game day, but I don't see him like getting on the field to start.
Okay, is that pen a Dompin pen?
What, I don't know what that is. This isn't a pen.
I don't know. Mouse says he knows his pens.
This is it's for cleaning computer keyboards and stuff like that. Yeah. I don't know. Is that like a fountain pen? I don't know what that is. I don't know
either. So we love Nick Singleton. So Adam Randall, 5th round. Pick 34 in the 5th round to the Ravens. We talked about it earlier. This is an owner's pick, which can go both ways. I think I kind of like it because he's going to have the supports of at least the owner, which is something. I love the landing spot because he's kind of a project at running back, converted wide receiver. Guy's a monster, though, and sitting behind Derrick Henry. So, like, the opportunity probably won't be there in general because Derrick Henry never gets hurt. But I love this landing spot for a guy that you didn't think was going to get drafted, Storey, and I had him at my running back 6. So I love Adam Randall.
I mean, Derrick Henry's not the only show in town anymore. He's not the only big back around, right? This guy is 234 pounds or something like that. I mean, the nice thing about like he's got not just a rushing profile, he's got an awesome receiving profile. He's one of only like a handful of guys that have both 750 receiving yards and 750 rushing yards in the same season. So he's got CJ Spiller written all over him. Now, Derrick Henry's not going anywhere. Derrick Henry's another mutant that is in this league. And I don't even think that Adam Randall will be the number 2 running back to start. He's probably going to compete with Rasheen Ali to be the number 3 running back, and probably one of these guys will be game day inactive. The question mark becomes like Randall's health. Are those tied together, or are they kind of fluke situations? Right. So the broken hand, obviously that one's different, but the stress fracture, is that related to the knee, the torn ACL, et cetera? There's a bit of an injury worry here, but this is going to be a nice long-term play. The landing spot's great. Like you can't take anything away. Baltimore loves running the ball. Whether they run it properly or not, well, Harbaugh's gone. So hopefully this new coaching staff understands the assignment, and that's to get the playmaker the ball. And Adam Randall could be that guy. It's going to be a while, though.
Let's get to Katron Allen, 6th pick in the 6th round with the Commanders. They have a million running backs. This seems like a value, though. We're not big Katron Allen fans, but dude's a pro-ready running back, good pass blocker, good goal line guy. And they kind of need that replacement for Chris Rodriguez. So is that how you see this?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, this guy's a one-cut runner, so it's not really that versatile in the NFL, but this is the kind of guy that David Blau really likes. So he's probably the replacement there. This smells like a nasty committee to me. JCM, they re-signed Jeremy McNichols. You got Rachaad White. I don't know which guy is going to be valuable. Probably in PPR is Rachaad White, I would guess. Like he's an underrated guy. But he's been tied to volume in the past, and he's needed volume. He's not terribly efficient. Didn't they sign Jerome Ford too in the offseason?
Yeah, they have Jerome Ford too.
So this is like Arizona East. Like none of these, like other than they haven't signed like some early round running back. We weren't high on Katron Allen to begin with. This doesn't really change anything for me. If he gets the Chris Rodriguez role, there'll probably be a game where you're like, shoot, I wish I would have picked up Katron Allen. But realistically, I don't see this being a viable asset now. And until they cull that running back room, not really in the future.
I agree. Next guy, Damon Claiborne. This is actually a nice landing spot. We're not Claiborne guys. I'm definitely not a Claiborne guy, but you have the aging, and I emphasize aging Aaron Jones. You have just a regular Jordan Mason there. And this guy, I don't know what he is. He comps as a pass catcher, although I wasn't impressed at Wake Forest with his pass catching. But he could be a mini Devin Achane. I think that's the upside here. And this team needs juice at the running back position. Aaron Jones doesn't have that anymore, and Jordan Mason definitely doesn't have that. So this is a good spot for you, right?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. They need juice. They need explosiveness. They would love to have some explosive playmakers in the running game. Neither one of the guys, Jordan Mason, I thought he was overdrafted last year, and Aaron Jones has definitely lost a step. So this, I know that they had inquired about Travis Etienne before the bidding got really high for him, and the Saints pulled the trigger. So they're definitely looking for a pass catcher here, and Aaron Jones has shown that in the past. I don't think that's his role anymore. This one is and Aaron Jones has a litany of injuries that could force Claiborne onto the field early in this season. So he's a guy that I'm definitely keeping an eye on. I wish Mason wasn't there because this guy would be a beautiful backup to Aaron Jones, but he is still there. So I am going to temper expectations a little bit.
Yeah, I just feel like he could kind of play both roles, though, because he got a giant workload in college. So he doesn't have the size for it, but he does have, the experience handling that. Now it's different at Wake Forest, and it will be in the NFC North. But this is a good landing spot. This is one of the best ones. I think Nick Singleton and him are the best chance to actually carve out a role without injury.
I don't think he's going to be able to carve out a role without injury. I think it's going to take an injury. Now, I don't think either one of those guys is the pinnacle of health, either Mason or Aaron Jones, particularly Aaron Jones. So I think there's tons of I like it because of that, but I don't think that he will be able to get on the field without an injury to one of those two guys. This is a really late round pick.
Very late. Speaking of late round picks, our boy Seth McGowan. I'm skipping over the Navy running back, and I don't want to talk about Jam Miller because I'd rather talk about Miles Montgomery, who I think is he's going to take Travion Henderson's job. Spoiler alert. But Seth McGowan out of Kentucky, really late, 7th round, 21st pick in the 7th round. So we love this kid, but he's really raw, older prospect as well. I guess I'm going to phrase it like this. So they drafted DJ Giddens last year, who went to Kansas State, right? DJ Giddens. Mm-hmm. Kind of like DJ Giddens, but he wasn't, and I feel like he was a much more pro-ready prospect.
He went to Kansas.
Kansas, okay. Yeah. He was a more pro-ready prospect. No, he went to Kansas State. Check that. It was Kansas State. Devin Neal went to Kansas. Yeah, who's the college football expert now, bitch? Suck my dick. Woo! Sorry, I gotta puff my chest out when I get college stuff that you don't know or that you misspeak on. Sorry. Anyways, DJ Giddens was you don't have to look it up, Story.
Okay.
DJ Giddens, more pro-ready running back than Seth McGowan as a rookie, correct?
Yes, 100%.
They didn't trust him last year. So why would they trust Seth McGowan this year and DJ Giddens is still there? That's my argument that this is anti-Seth McGowan?
This is not a good spot. I know that the Colts lacked running back depth coming into this draft season, so McGowan is a great depth piece. I still think DJ Giddens is the backup to own to Jonathan Taylor. McGowan's an old prospect. He's well-traveled. We have talked about that in the past. He's spent some time in a penitentiary. But he lit up the scoreboard last year. So I think that the Colts probably liked what they saw last year. The production was good. If he can maintain that, then maybe he can overtake DJ Giddens. I think it's going to be an uphill battle for him. 12 touchdowns last year is great, but man, that is a 7th round pick. There's nothing tying this guy to the organization. There's a 7th round pick is nothing.
And it's a strict, and Giddens was, I think, a 4th round pick. Correct me if I'm wrong with that one, but this is a strict play, a handcuff play, because they're going to run Jonathan Taylor into the fucking ground this year because he's not long for that team. He's not long for he's a 27-year-old running back with a lot of mileage and a lot of ankle injuries. So Daniel Jones coming off that Achilles. This is going to be Jonathan Taylor all day, every day. But the upside with that is he's more likely to get hurt. When you get 24 touches a game, Story, injuries will find you, and there's going to have to be someone that's going to fill in. And it might be Seth McGowan, might be DJ Giddens. We'll have to see.
Yeah. Jonathan Taylor has been known to miss a few games here and there. Did he play every game this past year? I think he did, right?
Yeah. He got nicked up. Remember the one game he got nicked up with a shoulder injury week 2, and DJ Giddens got 12 touches, and then he fell out of favor. But he didn't miss the game. He missed the second half because they were up by 2 scores.
Yeah. So, but like you said, you give a guy 20 catch or 20 opportunities a week, your odds of getting hurt go up that much more. So yeah, we'll see which guy it is. I'm going to be keeping an eye on this camp to see if Seth McGowan can overtake DJ Giddens for the backup role there.
Jason says, you guys like Eli Raridan at the 303 in Dynasty. I love his landing spot. If it plays out, Hunter Henry is not long for that team, not long for that job. And there's not a lot else there. They spent decent. It was a late 3rd round pick on Eli. What do you think? I loved him coming out of Notre Dame. You weren't as high on him, but he's a 3-down tight end. And this is definitely a projection down the road, but we're talking the 3rd round in Dynasty. Do you think that's fair?
Yeah, I think it's extraordinarily fair. Do you want to hold off on this? Because we're going to talk about tight ends.
Yeah, I just wanted to answer his question because that's what we do around here. Real quick, would you rather have Raridan or Jolie? Jolie is on the Broncos.
Yeah, no, Raridan. He was a hot riser in the during the draft prospect. He didn't have tremendous stats, but I don't know that Notre Dame needed to have tremendous stats in the passing game when you've got Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price there. So he's a, inline blockers upside, getting on the field in that respect. I think from a dynasty wise, like, I don't know why he wouldn't be number 3 behind Sadiq and for this rookie class behind Sadiq and Stowers.
Well, Oscar Delt, my dude. Come on now. Let's move on to tight ends here and talk about these guys. Kenyon Sadiq, 16th overall. To the New York Jets, which is just not a good spot. We're both not really Sadiq fans. I'm a little higher on him than you are. You had him at 3. I had him at 2. What do we make about this? Because we're both big Mason Taylor fans, and they draft Omar Cooper. They like Adonai Mitchell, and Garrett Wilson's a target hog. And you have Geno Smith, who will chuck the ball. I'll say this, but Geno Smith's terrible. They also have Breece Hall, who's going to soak up, 55 targets out of the backfield. So there's just not a lot to go around, and he's a project, man. So is this a long-term good landing spot? And then I don't think we all agree it's not a good landing spot for this year.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, I do think long-term it will be good because Breece Hall is doing everything in his power to get out of New York, and I don't think Garrett Wilson will re-sign there. We didn't hear much about Sadiq to New York. I don't think we heard anything in the draft process. So they kept it really quiet. They seem to really like this guy, but I don't know, man. Like, the production is just not there for me to like where he got drafted. It's 16 overall. Like, the athletics, the measurables they get, but like the fact that he had 22 yards per game or something like that in his final season, like that's just that's just absolutely gross. And Mason Taylor's there now. It does give them a nice 1-2 punch, nice 12 personnel setup, right? And but Breece Hall takes a lot of work out of the backfield, so a lot of underneath stuff. Sadiq's a great blocker. He's an underrated blocker. I think it's a good landing spot for the Jets. I don't know that there's much fantasy value here year one. As he overtakes Mason Taylor and Garrett Wilson moves on, this will probably be much more valuable down the road. So I think I still have to have him if we're looking at rookie tight ends in Dynasty, rookie drafts. I think I still have to have him at 1. But, man, it's really close between him and Stowers. Really close.
So let me ask you this. So recent history in terms of, this is a fantasy-related comment here and question for you. We've seen guys going, right now he's going tight end 13, right outside the fringe tight end 1 range. That's the same range we saw Brock Bowers go. We saw Colson Loveland go. Harold Phantom was going way later than that. But, like, Sam Laporta, right, when they all had their awesome rookie years where they were, drafted pretty high, as high as this. I mean, top 10, top 20 picks. And they weren't drafted as starters in fantasy, and they all finished at like the top 3 tight end. So what's the chance that Kenyon Sadiq can do that? A top 3 finish? Is it like 10%? It's not 0, right? Because draft capital and he's a freak athlete.
It's not 0. It's definitely not 0. Now, Bowers did it on a pretty bad Raiders team, and Laporta did it on a Lions team that was not what they are nowadays. Now, Loveland did it on an ascending Bears team, or at least an ascending Bears team last year. So that one I think you could take with a grain of salt. It's not impossible. I think it's a low possibility, but it's not impossible. I put it at a 10% chance he can be a top 3 tight end this year. And part of that is because of the 12 personnel that they're going to continue to run in this league until somebody figures out how to counter it.
He's going to have to do it with touchdowns because he's not going to do it on volume. And the guys I spoke about earlier all had one thing in common. Yes, trash offenses, but also trash skill players around them where they just got 8 targets a game. Where like Sadiq has too much competition. The running back alone, Garrett Wilson, right? Omar Cooper coming in the first round. Adonai Mitchell they traded for. They like him. He's going to be on the field a lot. Mason Taylor is also, going to play, I feel like 60% of the snaps. So it's like, and he needs injuries, right? It needs to be injuries in the depth chart to thin out a little bit.
Well, the depth chart will thin out. That's why I kind of like him long term. But you're right. Right now, we talked about it on night one. I hated this landing spot. I absolutely hated it. There is we talk about a bad team with Geno Smith behind the helm, a bad offense, and with Garrett Wilson is still going to get his 26% target share. Breece Hall is still going to rack up 10% target share. Adonai Mitchell's a downfield guy. They drafted Omar Cooper. It's way too crowded for me to think that Sadiq can realistically break through when he wasn't a high target earner at Oregon.
What's going on there in New York?
What's happening here? That French animal bit my ear off. Well, that's an absurd exaggeration. My apologies, Bidwell.
He look in our tent. He look at my woman. He saw her breast.
Her breast? You saw her breast?
I've said it before and I said it again. Any man who look on her will die.
Nice.
All right, number 2, Eli Stowers, 22nd pick in the second round to the Eagles. Now, this is one of those picks where, yes, they signed Dallas Goedert, but it seems pretty certain that A.J. Brown's on the move. He's gone. But they bring in Mekhi Lemon, who is a slot receiver. They're bringing in young blood here, not a high passing volume team, but Eli can be used in all sorts of ways. He was my best receiving tight end coming out. He was my number 1 tight end in general. And I like the spot there because Goddard is a decent blocker, and he'll play more in line now, and Stowers can move around. What do you think about the landing spot? And let's talk about redraft first.
Yeah, this kind of feels like the Ravens past where they had Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely, right? You got a much more athletic downfield threat in Eli Stowers. No, he needs to get on the field. Obviously, we don't know they're going to run that many 2 tight end sets. They don't really do that in Philadelphia, but it's a low passing offense, low passing volume offense. So that concerns me. I'm worried about year 1 in general. They did re-sign Dallas Goedert. They love him in the red zone. Stowers is an after the catch kind of guy, so they kind of mismatch a little bit. Not the best blocker, like an outstanding, combine there, breaking records all over the place, 4.5 40. This one is, we don't have a whole lot of these, but is this a handcuff for Dallas Goedert, right? That's a valuable role to be the tight end 1 in Philadelphia. They do love Dallas Goedert. They love that role. Is this a handcuff? Is this one of those few, like, you can slot him in and he'll be 90% of the production just because of the scheme?
The Isaiah Likely comparison is perfect because he was one of those tight ends that you would roster. I don't like rostering 2 tight ends and definitely not, on the bench, but it was just, if Mark Andrews gets hurt, Isaiah Likely is a tight end 1. And we never really saw that come to fruition very often, but this is that. And Stowers is a much better athlete than Isaiah Likely could ever dream of being. So he's raw though. So I think this is a good spot for Dynasty as well, because this is the heir apparent, right? Dallas Goedert they did sign him to a 3-year deal. I think they can get out of it after the first year. And if you take the touchdowns away last year, 13 touchdowns, wild for Dallas Goedert. A lot of those little manufactured touches, but the film wasn't great. He is taking a step back. He's 33 years old. This is a good pick. This is the Eagles just being the Eagles and just taking value and having a vision, right? Having a plan in place. That's what they do. You saw it with Mekhi Lemon. You saw it with Stowers. They traded for Jonathan Grenard. Like, they're just always one step ahead of everyone else. And Jalen Hurts sucks, but it doesn't matter. They keep on giving him fucking toys to play with, and it's just a great spot.
Yeah, it is a great spot, and he's solidly number 2 rookie tight end for Dynasty for me. I think the reason he's not number 1 is because, like, the Jets suck. Their offense sucks, but it's always going to suck. Somebody's got to catch the ball there, and as soon as Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson are gone, there's going to be tons of opportunity for an elite athletic tight end there in Kenyon Sadiq. On the flip side, like, we know this is a low-volume passing offense. They love running the ball. Now, I don't know what Sean Mannion's going to bring in to this offense, if they're going to switch things up a little bit. And Mike, like, I do have concerns that they're cooling on Jalen Hurts. So if this Eagles organization decides to move on from Jalen Hurts, who's the next quarterback there? Who's next up? That's why Kenyon Sadiq is number 2 for me in Dynasty.
All right. These next 2 picks, I'm going to pair these together. Marlon Klein and Nate Borkature. like these are blockers, and the Jags and Texans. Now it makes more sense for the Texans for me because, you know, they're running out of time there with their current tight end situation, and he's going to be on the field blocking. They need an extra offensive lineman. I don't get this Jaguars pick because Brenton Strange is serviceable. It was a 2nd-round pick. What the hell are they doing there?
I mean, that is an incredible reach. They've got Hunter Long there still. They got Quentin Morris there. And, yeah, Brenton Strange was a fantasy asset last year. This is strictly an inline blocking play. Teams saw what the Rams did last year, and they're like, we got to get a piece of that. Marlon Klein at least had a little bit of receiving production at Michigan, so you can kind of understand that. Dalton Schultz is older. He's probably, 28, 29, something like that. And they're definitely shoring up the offensive line. So I do like what Houston has done in this draft in terms of like giving CJ Stroud the protection he needs. Neither one of these guys is going to be a fantasy asset. That's just straight dope. They're inline blockers. That's what they're going to be. You know, they're 6'6", they're 250 pounds, 260 pounds. It's just they'll catch a touchdown here and there, but I would not even like the draft capital for tight ends has completely gone on its head after this draft.
22 tight ends drafted, man. And this is, again, I keep on saying it, the Sean McVay effect, right? You see how great their offense was last year. And it was mostly because of Puka and Devontae Adams, but they're 12 personnel, sometimes they're 13 personnel sets were their most successful sets. And it wasn't necessarily because of the production of the tight ends, but it gave them such versatility and it made the defense on their heels because these guys aren't even great. Like the Rams didn't even have great tight ends last year, but they all performed. They all caught touchdowns and it opened up the field and also opened up the run game. It makes the defense play a heavier personnel. And now you have Puka Nacua against a linebacker in the middle. Like it's easy money. And I think the other teams are going to try to replicate it. Are they going to be able to do it successfully, Storey? Because I would say no.
Yeah, this is like, okay, so teams started to try out the tush push, and they realized that, okay, not everybody can run it very well. Eventually, the Ravens decided, like, all right, well, we'll just give it to the biggest guy that we are confident can hold on to the ball in Mark Andrews. But this is it's a copycat league. The highest rate that any team had run 13 personnel prior to last season was the Browns in 2021 at 17%. I looked this number up because the Rams ran it 30% of the time last year. 13 personnel, 30% of the time. You did mention it opens things up for the running game. So we saw a ton of success with both Blake Corum and thank you, Kyron Williams. And it makes an extremely narrow target tree in Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua. So that's good for the Rams in general. It's good for the fantasy value of those guys. But are we moving on to Max Clare? Or are we still talking about these inline guys?
Well, I don't think there's much more to say about these inline guys, but besides the fact that, like, I just don't get what these teams are doing. Like, there's so many guys you can draft to block in the 5th round. It's a fucking clown
all these
show.
Ball clubs flying around all season. Wouldn't you think there'd be a plane crash?
I don't know who Bozo is. What, is he a clown?
Is he a clown? What, are you kidding me?
Well, what is he?
Yes, he's a clown.
All right, so what's the big deal? There's millions of clowns.
All right, just forget it.
Forget me? You should forget it. You're living in the past, man. You hung up on some clown from the 60s, man.
You're hung up on some inline blocker in the 2nd round, man. Exactly, dude.
Somebody needs some Ray Clean going over the coals for that pick. That is atrocious.
Let's get to Jason's comments before we get to. I'm going to pair Max Clare and Sam Roush in a bucket as well for the reason I'll tell you in a second. But rank all 3, please. I drafted Tate at the 103. I think Tate could see a 30% target share his first year. That's aggressive. Cam loves to launch it. That's what Tate is best at. Could speed be a problem for Tate's? And then rank these 3 in Dynasty: Lemon, Tate, and Tyson.
Tate, Tyson, Lemon. That's pretty easy.
Yeah, I would probably go the same. I thought you might say Tyson number 1.
Dude, it's a great landing spot, but I don't know. Like, we know what I think we know what Tate's future prospect looks like. I don't know that we know that Tyson is going to be the only guy there drafted next. Like, I don't think that he'll be the opposite guy from Chris Olave next year. I'm fairly sure that the Saints are going to pick up more pass catching options in the 2027 draft. That's the direction that the team is heading.
You know, I'm the biggest Tate hater in the world, but I actually like this landing spot. So, and also the fourth overall draft capital, they're going to try to make it work. All those things actually matter more than, and I don't think he's a bad talent. I think he's just a above average talent. Wasn't worthy of a top 10 pick. I barely had him in the first round. Doesn't mean he's a bad player. I just mean that I think Tyson's better. I think that Skylar Bell might be better. That's a hot take, but I love Skylar Bell, man. Skylar Bell's a god, and we'll talk about him on next week's show whenever we do wide receivers. But Jason, you need to get in the Patreon, get in the Discord, and you're talking about all this dynasty stuff. We will be there for all these questions. I will help you draft your rookie team, man. We had a guy join about a month ago. We drafted a dynasty startup. I did it pick by pick with him. That's the kind of thing I do for the community members here. So if you're interested, go to the website, hop on in, and then you have access to all the hosts, the whole community. You can put up polls and really nail this dynasty league. How much is the dynasty buy-in, Jason? Just curious, because we're going to make you money. And, you know, we can answer your questions all day on the show, but you'll get much more, you know, during the season, it gets a little bit more popping in here. It's hard to give the attention to every question. It's my job. So on the Discord, I'm on there all fucking day talking ball. So let's get to, if you're interested in that, man, hop in tonight. I will get you the invites into the Discord tonight. We can start talking about your team, man. Looking forward to that. If you'd like to do that, let's get to the next two guys I'm going to pair together here. It is Max Clare, 29th pick in the second round, and then Sam Roush, the 5th pick of the third round. So kind of the same range, kind of similar situations. Max Clare might be, actually, I think Max Clare has a more open path because there's no elite guy there. I do like Terrence Ferguson, but Sam Roush is behind Colson Loveland, who's all the noise right now. And Cole Kmet's still a very serviceable number 2, although he might not be there for long, but you're still going to be behind Loveland for a long time. We love Sam Roush out of Stanford. Which is a better landing spot? Is any of these guys going to have any relevance this year? I think the answer is no, but is there any chance?
No, I don't think either one of these guys has any relevance this year, but Loveland's not going anywhere, obviously, and Kmet's under contract for 2 more years. Now, trade's certainly possible, but if we just saw all the bevy of tight ends that got drafted this year, so I think that's less likely now. I think, like, dynasty-wise, Claire, because you got 2 guys that are going to be off this roster in 2027. So at least there will be some opportunity there. Like, Sam Roush, to me, feels like a backup to Cole Kmet. That's all it is. Like, if you're going to run a ton of 12 personnel, which is what Ben Johnson loves, I guess why not have, like, a tight end in reserve? That's my only thought process from him. I guess that's why. I like Sam Roush a lot, but this landing spot is absolutely horrendous next year, even though DJ Moore is gone.
Yeah, I think that Ben Johnson saw what's working. He likes playing heavy personnel. They did it in Detroit. They're going to do it again in Chicago. And this probably has the writing on the wall that, you know, Cole Kmet is probably going to be out after this year. He's going to play this year. They need him this year. And they're kind of going to groom Sam Roush, kind of how Michael Jackson groomed all those kids, to be the Cole Kmet next year. You see what I did there?
Yeah, they're going to groom him. And we didn't see any of that in the Michael film, but it's there. You can. It's not
maybe Ben Johnson has bells on his office and he locks the door and Sam Roush is in there. If he hears anyone walking down the hallway, it alerts him that there's someone coming. So we say, Sam, guess what? Get your clothes on, Sam. Sam Roush, get your clothes on.
Now you're
Michael Jackson joke.
Now you're besmirching Ben Johnson, calling him an opportunist.
Exactly. Oh man, pretty funny. Jason says his buy-in is 200. That's a pretty hefty league there. There you go, Jason. Hop in tonight, my dude, and we will, before you pull the trigger on these trades, let's try to squeeze a little bit more. That's the key. Always squeeze a little bit more. Throw it out there. We're going to go through. You can post your roster. You could post your entire roster on there, and we're going to be here to make you dominate your fucking league. That's what we do around here.
Yeah, man. Always never take the first offer that somebody offers you. You can always squeeze a little bit more out of them.
So yeah, and if you want to play leagues with us, we're going to have a lot of, we do have a spot in our Dynasty Startup, Jason, if you want to play against all the hosts and all the OG community members. Hop in there, and then we can chat about that tonight if you're interested. We'd love to have you. So one last thought on Sam Roush and Max Clare. Long-term, who do you like more? Is it Sam Roush because he's only has one guy to compete against? Or is it Max Clare because there's no elite? You know, Terrence Ferguson was a second-round pick. Higbee's going to be gone, right? Like, there's not a lot there.
Yeah, long-term, I still think I like Max Clare better. He was a better pass catcher at Ohio State versus Sam Roush at Stanford. And I do think the opportunity will be there for him. It's just going to take a year or so. Ferguson flashed in spots last year, but I think Claire could probably overtake him because of his blocking ability there. So for me, it is Claire edges out Roush in that regard.
All right, moving on. I'm going to pair these next three guys together. It's Oscar Delp, my boy. It is Will, how do you say this? Kazmarek?
Kazmarek.
Second guy from Ohio State, who's a blocker, I believe. And then Eli Raridon at Notre Dame. So break down, give me the Kazmarek thing. What the hell are the Dolphins doing? They need a tight ends. You know, it's literally Greg Dulcich, bro. Like no receivers. Like, why are they taking a blocker? I don't get any of this shit.
The question is why they take the exact same profile tight end when they signed Ben Sims from during free agency, right? He left Minnesota. He's the exact same type of tight end. If you're gonna if you get a blocking guy, why do you need another one on the roster? Why not get a different flavor of tight end here? Why not get a pass catcher or a move tight end or something in that regard, as opposed to another guy who does the exact same thing as somebody you signed in free agency? The less said about Will Kazmarek, the better. He's not going to be, even though there is a complete dearth of pass catchers in Miami, he's not going to be he won't be fantasy relevant. That's just the fact of life. Now, when it comes to Oscar Delp and Eli Raridon, now we're talking. Both of those guys are probably a year or two away from being realistically fantasy viable. We talked about Raridon a little bit. I do like the landing spot for Delp. He's going to have to compete with Juwan Johnson this year, so I think it's going to take a little bit of time. I'm not sure what his contract looks like, but Noah Fant is also there, so I wouldn't expect much from Delp. The question becomes can Delp take that step to the next level, even though he didn't really do it at Georgia? Right, the guy had the entire runway in the world and could not turn that into a productive season. But he's got the opportunity there, and as this team goes, I think they're going to continue to increase on the passing side. That means good things for Delp down the line. I'd have to look up Juwan Johnson's. I should have looked that up, what his contract looks like.
Here's the problem with Juwan Johnson is last year was out of necessity because he is essentially another wide receiver out there. Gives you nothing in the run game. Terrible blocker, right? And now you have Jordan Tyson there. So Delp doesn't have the production in terms of receiver, but he has the chops and the athleticism. But he is a day one above average run blocker. So that's the thing. It's like he can carve out a role, and maybe if Tyson goes off and you have Olave and even Devon Vele is okay, the need to have a receiving tight end, a strict receiving tight end, might go out the window. And if Oscar Delp gives you, it's crazy to say a rookie gives you a better chance in terms of the run game, but anyone gives you give him a better chance than Juwan Johnson, dude.
Yeah, he's a liability in the run game, and I think the Saints understand that, and that's why they signed Noah Fant in the offseason, and also why Oscar Delp is, his ability at this point in the draft, I think it's a great pick for the Saints. It's going to be a much better real life pick this year than it will be a fantasy pick, but that's Delp has the potential to kind of step in and be. I really don't want to compare him to Jimmy Graham because he's really nothing like that. But that Saints organization does like using the tight end. If Fant isn't long for that team, and I don't think Juwan Johnson is either.
Okay, Eli Raridon out of Notre Dame, the 31st pick in the third round to the Patriots. There's an opening here. It's going to be Hunter Henry to start the year as the main tight end, but you saw even in the Super Bowl, they liked playing two. And this guy can block, man. He's huge. He's really long. Not a lot of production there at Notre Dame, but you can say the same thing about Malachi Fields, right? There wasn't a need because you have Jeremiah Love scoring 18 touchdowns. Jadarian Price dominating the other work there. So does he comp to you as a guy that is going to be a better NFL player than he was college player? Because that's kind of how I'm leaning.
Yeah, even Hunter Henry had his moments, but he was not a consistent fantasy producer. So you had stretches of games there. I do think this is a great pick for the Patriots, right? His combination of above the rim ability and inline blocking, which is what they needed more of desperately in the Super Bowl, is a great spot, like a late round 3 pick. Like that's a great pick for them. but I'm just not convinced that he will be a long-term fantasy dynasty. He's probably going to end up most years in the tight end 10 to 12 range, and that just doesn't move the needle for me.
No, we got a couple names left. Jason, what is the platform for your email? You didn't give me that. Is it Yahoo? Is it Gmail? Let me know there. Two more names I want to talk about. Justin Joly to the Broncos, which isn't a bad spot. And then Max Bredesen out of Michigan, another Michigan tight end, to the Vikings. I want to highlight these guys in particular because they were, fifth-round picks, but they were, top 12 tight ends taken. And teams that have openings, right, perceived openings, because T.J. Hockenson is dust. Now, he's going to start the year as a starter, but T.J. Hockenson his film is so bad last year. It was laughable, bro.
But
only 28 years old, I think, 29 years old, but he might as well be 38, bro.
Yeah, I mean, this guy's we're talking about Bredesen, or are we talking about Jolie first?
Well, let's talk about Bredesen because I was ripping on T.J. Hockenson. He might as well be Travis Kelce at this stage, but he's actually not Travis Kelce in terms of working zone or catching touchdowns or any of those things.
Yeah, the problem here is even though T.J. Hockenson was dust, Bredesen doesn't profile as a tight end, as a pass-catching tight end. He's more of a fullback. He spent a lot more time in Michigan with his hand in the dirt than he did standing up. So I even a team that does use it, like they use CJ Ham as a fullback a lot there in Minnesota. So even a team that uses him as a fullback, it's still such a small part of the offense. Probably like 20% of the time a fullback's on the field. There's nothing here for me in fantasy for Bredesen. I understand the Hockenson being dust argument, but Bredesen is not the guy to replace him there.
All right, Justin Joly. This is the one we like, though, because now Evan Ingram, they're going to keep Evan Ingram. But I kind of comp Joly to kind of a Jonnu Smith level player. He doesn't work down the field, but he's definitely good at crossers. Give him a little dump down, good at yak. And that's kind of what Evan Ingram is at this stage of his career. And Evan Ingram did not work out last year. That was bad in real life. That was bad in fantasy. He's never been able to block. And Joly can't really block either, but I think he's a better blocker than Evan Ingram.
Yeah, probably. Evan Ingram seems like he's pretty much does too. I think this is a great pick for the Broncos. They got nothing out of that position last year. 3 or 4 touchdowns from a tight end, when we know that Sean Payton likes using the tight end position. So that was gross on that regard. You're right, though. Over the middle kind of stuff, this guy thrives in traffic. He's not bothered by going over the middle. So get him on slants, on sluggos, and let him do his thing after the catch. They need a physical presence in the red zone. He is physical at the catch point. So this could be in PPRs, it's going to be tough to trust him, but in half or standard, I think there's enough touchdown equity that he could make some noise. Even though he's a 5th-round pick, he could make some noise in year one. They desperately need a guy that can go up. And it can't be Pat Bryant, because apparently anytime he goes up in the end zone to catch a ball, he gets a concussion.
100%. So would you have him as almost like your 3rd or 4th most impactful rookie, from day one? Just for this year, just because the role he could carve out.
Right. In Dynasty, he's way down the ranks, but in day one redraft rookies. Now, I'm not drafting him anywhere, but he's definitely a guy I want to see what this role evolves to in training camp and during the first couple of weeks of the season. Because if we see him, and this, you might not see it in the box score, but if we see him playing, snaps in the red zone quite frequently, then that is a guy that you're probably going to want to get ahead of your league mates on and scoop him up later on in the season as we come into bye weeks.
What about, I'm just going down the list here, and this is a 7th-round pick, Jack Endries, a guy that I hate, but you liked out of Texas. And he's on the Bengals. I feel like this is a guy that could also have a similar type role, at least maybe a role as a rookie. And it's crazy to say a 7th-round pick, but, Joe Royer, who we like, he went to the Browns. He's not beating out Fannin. Tanner Koziel, who I like, went to Houston. Now they have 3 guys. There's not a lot of options here we're looking at some deep dart throws that could have, immediate playing time without an injury, right? They can actually force their way up the depth chart. And who would you like better, Endries or Jolie?
Man, that's tough because since in Dynasty, I do like Endries, even though he's a 7th-round pick. The group of tight ends there in Cincinnati is an aging group. So
He's taking a shit over there, bro.
No, I'm just trying to think. Like we have like tried to make Eric All happen, and we've tried to make what's his name happen, and it's just tough. It's such a like. Why would you throw to the tight ends when you've got T. Higgins and Jamar Chase there? You know what I mean? It's
touchdown equity. It's just touchdown equity because Joe Burrow has the potential to throw 50 touchdowns, and they got to go to someone. There's going to be 20 to go around outside of Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Chase Brown. That's the thing. And Yoshi Bosch sucks. We loved Yoshi coming out, and it looked like a good call for a little bit, but they didn't really replace him. So it's Jamar Chase is the fucking moon, bro.
Yeah, it is Jamar Chase to the moon. So even though Andrews didn't have the stats last year, he did not perform well at Texas. Like his time at Cal was fairly impressive. He was a pass catcher there. So I think if they end up wanting to diversify the route trees a little bit and allow Andrews to develop, like he could be a nice replacement for Eric All, a guy that you could throw into a lineup in deep bye weeks, and maybe you catch a touchdown here and there. But like when it comes to regular fantasy production, I think it's difficult that the profile doesn't match up, and he's on a team that doesn't really value the tight end all that much. It was a position in need, and they kind of addressed it, but it wasn't. It's not like they drafted a guy in the second round.
According to retailers, the most popular Halloween mask this year is O.J. Simpson. And the most popular Halloween greeting is, "I'll kill you and that guy who's bringing over your glasses," or treat.
Or treat.
I got you, Jason. I'll hit you up after the show here in a couple minutes. Last guy I want to talk about went undrafted somehow. I mentioned 22 tight ends got drafted. Our boy, Michael Trigg, out of Baylor, did not get drafted, and his combine was lackluster. Didn't do a lot, and his vertical was terrible. I think there might be not off the field stuff with him, but there's some body language stuff that I think teams didn't like. And his wingspan was elite all time, best we've ever seen the position. But again, 27-inch vertical. But production was awesome, and he signed to the Cowboys. So this is just in general great value. You're talking about a guy you signed for nothing. That should have been a 4th-round pick if you ask me, especially when 22 tight ends get drafted. What are we doing here? What a great pickup for the Cowboys, because Jake Ferguson is steady. He is solid. He's reliable. But he is essentially Dalton Schultz, right? He's just a guy. Michael Trigg can be that move tight ends. If you could carve out a role with him and you have him on the field in the slot, just running, the only thing he knows how to run elite is that slant route with that size, and his almost like he has a basketball background, even though I don't know if he does, with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens in the field. Like this is a wild card, but I want Michael Trigg over pretty much like 16 of these 22 guys, maybe 17 of these 22 guys next year. Just a guy that could make an impact.
Yeah, this was heartbreaking for me. I had this guy like number 5 in my tight ends. I really liked what we saw from him at Baylor, and the fact that he goes undrafted over guys like Nate Borkature and Klein and all those guys that really they're going to be, again, tight ends that will make an impact on the field. But yeah, he some of the concerns with him have like wingspan's not great. He's a little undersized, right? He's 6'4", so you'd like to see another inch or two. You'd definitely love to see another 20 pounds or so. So if you were like, I think that's what it's going to take for him to get on the field, is he's going to have to put on weight. Otherwise, he's going to be a position like a spot starter for the Cowboys. He's a guy that might not even make the roster because Ferguson's not going anywhere. So it's a wait and see kind of situation. I think it's a great situation. He could become the heir apparent to Jake Ferguson, but it's a lot's going to have to break right for him to actually be fantasy relevant now.
I'm just looking at this right now, and the Browns already had Harold Fannin. They take Joe Royer in the 5th. They take Carson Ryan out of BYU in the 7th round. Like, why not take Michael Trigg? Just give me a guy with upside. If you're going to take it'd be the 3rd tight end on the roster, like you're probably going to cut him anyway. And my last question to you, Storey, is out of these 22 guys that got drafted at tight end, how many are on the team that drafted them like to start the year? Is there 5 cuts, 6 cuts? Like, what's the number?
Well, those guys that got drafted in rounds 3 and 4 probably not getting cut. Like 2 even.
Oh, they're good.
Yeah. So there was a big run of guys in the 2nd and 3rd, and then we had a real it slowed down significantly, 4 or 5. So then you look at 6 and 7, and there's a lot of guys drafted. Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if half a dozen of these guys are not on the roster come week 1. Like realistically, that would make it almost a quarter. And It just feels really aggressive by the NFL. Like just to think that, oh, it worked in LA, so we should run 13 personnel. If I was an offensive coordinator, I'd be designing, I'd be getting 5 wide receivers on the field just to counter what everybody is going to be countering, which is 13 personnel, 12 personnel.
Question for you. How many of these, I got to laugh before I even say it because it's fucking great. How many of these guys are going to end up on the Rams?
Hey, you ever accidentally masturbate to young pictures of your mom?
Who the fuck starts a conversation like that? I just sat down.
Outstanding.
They're going to have like 7 tight ends on the roster, just hoarding all of them, just so the other teams can't get them, right? I think that's their strategy. It's like the guy in fantasy that takes 5 quarterbacks, so you can't, even though it's not a super flex, and he's like, I'm going to trade him. I'm like, no, you're not. You're going to drop 3 of them. You're going to drop 3 of them before week 1, or you're going to hold on to them and have no running backs on your bench, which is kind of a nice position to have on your bench. Guys that have upside with injury.
Good thing you have both Lamar Jackson and Lamar Jackson and
Josh Allen.
Yeah, Josh Allen on your team, right? Good thing you drafted Brock Bowers and what's his name from Arizona. Man, my brain.
Trey McBride. Are you okay, bro? Are you all right? What's going on here? Get this man a fucking beer.
Yeah, that's weird.
Storey's a very bright guy, but you know what? I think the draft season, and trust me, I'm kind of in the same, like, I'm a little sharper than you somehow, Storey. I don't know how, because you're way smarter of an individual than I am. But I get in football mode that I just, like, remember shit. But I think we had so much on our plate in April with the draft, and it's just been a lot, bro. And, like,
yeah,
I probably put in almost 200 hours in the show this month, which is unreal. I mean, just with all the prep stuff, all the film watching, because I didn't know anything about these college guys. I watched all the film 5 times, bro. Like, I was just going back and forth, and when I read new stuff and hear other people's opinions, I'm like, I gotta double check this, because maybe I was watching with a negative lens. And then usually I went with my gut, though. My gut is usually what I go with, and it's a big gut.
Yeah, well, is it the bigger the gut, the more right it is, or how's that work?
Well, the bigger the gut, the less likely you are to see your dick in the shower. I can confirm that's true. And some days I can see it, some days I can't. It depends on how. Regardless, it's a dumb conversation. But
I'm trying to shut down.
You've never had that problem, have you, Storey?
I got pretty heavy around the time, like right when I had back surgery. That's part of the reason I lost weight, was because of my back. So I got pretty heavy, a little bit.
What's the most you ever weighed? I've seen pictures.
220, I'd say.
Oh, yeah, I got up to 262 a couple years ago, which is giant for a skinny guy. I'm like 250 now. That's like my nice number. My dad hates it, but
you do have an inch or 2 on me, so.
Are you talking about height or height? Okay, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, around.
Yeah, 100%. All right, this is a great show. Tomorrow, Tom is making his return. He has not been on for about 6 weeks. He's really tied up at work, but he'll be a regular during the season here. He'll have the Friday night show. So Tom's going to come on tomorrow night. We're talking winners and losers of the draft in terms of teams. We'll also touch on some landing spot stuff and, answer all your questions. And then Big Ray is coming on Saturday for the return of Open Bar with Meat Sweats Saturday nights. And then I'm going to take a couple days off after that because I think I've earned it. And then we'll be back with a bunch of underdog drafts in May. Mike Storey will be back on. We have to do our wide receiver landing spot show. And then maybe we can do a little underdog, little best ball preview in terms of guys we like. You haven't played any underdog or any best balls yet, Storey. So you have a wide open mind on these things, and you don't even know some of the ADPs. So would love to pick your brain on who you think is perceived value. I've been doing them since fucking February. So I
want to do my first one. I want to go in raw, like just raw dog it without even looking at a single ADP.
Raw dog it. Yeah, I like that. Are you going to get down on some best ball this year? You're not a big fan.
Not a big fan, but I'll throw out a little bit. I understand that it's a portfolio for me. I'll see where it goes. I don't know. Like, I don't know that it correlates terribly in terms of ADP to redraft, which is more my focus.
But it's fun and it's good practice to know where these guys are going and to win money. The nice thing is that it's kind of like scratch offs when you talk about these big tournaments. But you're a pretty smart guy, and like I think if you bomb and you do terrible, you'll still get 60% of your money back. But the nice thing is you could win 10 or 20 grand, which with the amount of leagues you play, I'm saying like I play 35, so there's a chance I could win that in redraft, throwing in $7 grand. if you're not throwing in $7,000, like there's just no way to win 20 grand in fantasy. It's just not happening.
And I don't expect that. For me, I'm not a huge fan of mock drafts in general. I guess this would be a nice way to do mock drafts with people having skin in the game, right? Like actual money.
Hey, what's more useless, Story? Mock drafts in terms of fantasy or mock drafts for the NFL draft? Because that's a tough one.
Draft by far. Oh, by far.
Really? I don't know. Mock drafts are a joke for fantasy, dude.
Oh, they're a joke for the NFL draft. All these pundits circle jerking each other about like where Ty Simpson is going to go, except for Mel Kiper, who nailed it apparently.
Yeah.
Look at like the number of trades in round 1 alone, let alone the rest. You look at all the tight ends that got drafted. Nobody had Nate Borkature on their board. Like, come on, it's an absolute, the ultimate. It's the NFL mock drafts are the ultimate masturbatory experience. Look at this mock draft that I did. Look how amazing it is. Look at these teams that are going to draft these guys because I think I know better than the teams that are actually going to be drafted. Even if those teams are wrong, like you're not getting in the head of anybody. Like consensus doesn't mean shit when it comes to the NFL draft. Thank you, John Lynch. You proved our point twice this year.
I gotta upload that really grinds my gears because Story, I got you going there. Hetcher says I'm gonna be in like 3 leagues next year. It's gonna be wild. Last year was my first year playing 2.
Oh, last year. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. Hetzer, in the last 15 years, I have played about 320 redrafts. And I tell people I've played a lifetime of fantasy. Like even if you play 5 leagues a year, what would that would be like? What would that be like 70 years to do that? 60 years?
60 years.
You played 5 a year. It's a lifetime of fantasy I've played. That's why I kind of decided to do this full time and hopefully it catches. Last question from Wally. ETN or Javonte Williams? Let's call this half PPR Story. No, fuck it. Let's call it full PPR. We're real men.
Oh, it's easy. ETN. It was
really,
yeah.
I think
quick.
So
it was quick when it was half, and it's easy. Like it's not a question when it's.
Javonte is so terrible, but you know what? Here's the thing: is the counselor would tell you Javonte Williams because sorry, who was the biggest guy on Javonte Williams last year that you knew? Me. I had him everywhere. I loved him. I talked him up. You rolled your eyes, and I made a lot of money on Javonte Williams. That doesn't mean I'm going to like him this year. Want to know the difference? He was a 10th round pick last year. He's a 3rd round pick this year. I didn't like the player last year. I'd like the opportunity. I still like the opportunity, but the film was not great last year. He scored a lot of short touchdowns. He got a lot of dump offs. He also got caught from linebackers from behind.
Yeah, the
he also has an injury history.
Not good. Not a ton of pass catching last year. The opportunities is still good. They didn't draft a running back, so Jaden Blue is out of this league as far as I'm concerned. He's not going to make a dent. The problem is, like, he didn't perform as a 3rd round pick. He was bolstered by touchdowns last year, which is not a very sticky stat year to year. So if you get a ton of touchdown regression, he could be a underperforming 3rd round pick. Whereas ETN, we know that his production value is bolstered because of the pass catching, which generates a lot more fantasy points than just strictly rushing. Even if he doesn't get a ton of touchdowns, I can't imagine who on that team is going to take touchdowns from ETN. Like the guy's a good goal.
No.
So,
ETN is definitely a better player at this stage of their careers. Javonte has a better situation and definitely more touchdown upside. But I'll say this: last year, if you give him last year's stats and you draft him at the end of the 3rd round, he will return value just barely. But the upside for Javonte Williams, like he's not scoring 20 touchdowns, guys. Dak Prescott throws the ball too much. You're gonna have a healthy CeeDee Lamb. But there is no competition. Where like I feel like ETN with Alvin Kamara, there is a little bit more competition with Kamara than with what Javonte Williams has, bro.
You want to talk about dust? Like I love Alvin Kamara. He's been my guy for
I know
a decade. But man, he did not look like himself even when he was healthy to start the year last year. That was rough. I don't think there's much competition at all. It wouldn't surprise me to see Kamara retire. I know he's probably not going to, but retire mid-season next year.
Ooh, hot take. Last one from Wally. Josh Jacobs or Derrick Henry, full PPR?
If it's full PPR, man, that is really close because I don't see
Henry, bro.
I don't see a reason to get off Henry until he proves us otherwise. Like you have to assume that the Ravens learned their lesson last year, not giving the ball to Henry, and they're going to just pepper him. Yeah, it's Henry.
But Josh Jacobs, there's no competition there. They didn't bring anyone in. It's Chris
No,
Brooks.
that's true. It's what's his name who cannot stay healthy, and God, there is. But Jacobs himself Jacobs battled through injuries last year, and that was rough if you were a manager of Jacobs.
This is the swan song for Josh Jacobs. He's going to get everything he has, and they're going to ride him if they don't bring anyone else in, which they haven't. Now, the thing is, the Packers could be a destination for a Trey Benson. They could be a destination for one of those Washington running backs like it's going to get cut, or
Austin
James
Eckler.
Conner, right? Austin Eckler. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't be worried about Austin Eckler. I'm worried about an actual 3-down guy. Last comment, I said this 3 times. Bucky Irving going in the 3rd round. Would you rather have him? Bucky Irving's actually going in underdog at least like mid-4th now. So I hate Bucky Irving in the 3rd. I'm not really in on him in the 4th. When you start talking late 4th, though, Story, can you see the appeal in Bucky Irving in full PPR?
If he managed to drop to the late 4th, well, I think it's going to be impossible in half or in PPR.
That's where he's going in underdog, man. That's half PPR. That's where he's going in underdog right now.
In PPR, I think it's going to be impossible. Like people do know him as a pass catcher. I can see the appeal. I can. You're going to have to temper expectations, though. They really like Sean Tucker, even though they didn't show it 2 years ago. Like they gave him all the work, and then Bucky Irving came back, and he was not. Like Sean Tucker was nothing, but they re-signed him to a fairly substantial contract for a backup running back, and they got what's his name there now,
Kenneth Gainwell, who is way better than Rashad White. He's just way better than Rashad White
at this stage
at that role.
So late 4th. I can see taking some shares, but I'm gonna have to be talking to Bucky Irving this year, and the fact that I'm not judging, but the fact that he was off the field for more than just physical injuries last year and he dealt with some mental stuff, like we have to take that into consideration if we're playing the game of fantasy, right? We want the guy to get healthy and mentally healthy and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not judging at all, but as a fantasy player, like I have to take that into consideration.
And he kind of seems like one of those players where less is more. You saw what happened early in the year where they gave him the game he got hurt was the Eagles game. He had 28 touches.
Oh my God.
And then he broke.
It was great.
Right?
It was great. Like if you had Bucky Irving,
it was awesome early in the year, but I think they showed that he's not a great goal line back. So like Sean Tucker's clearly better there. You have Kenneth Gainwell as a better pass catcher. So now you're stuck with a guy between the 20s, and he's going to get his 16 touches. That's empty calories. And as much as he's a dynamic runner, he's not a breakaway runner. So he's not scoring touchdowns from the midfield. He just doesn't have that in his game. So it's like, how is Bucky Irving scoring touchdowns? Does he have anything more than 6 touchdown upside? I don't like drafting players like that because they're going to be safe, right? They might even exceed their ADP, but that's not how you win championships. That's not. That's how you get 5th place.
No, and he's slightly undersized. He didn't come into the league as a bell cow back, and they got a new offensive coordinator again this year. So
Also, 4th round draft capital Story. Let's not forget that. It's not like he was a 2nd round pick. Now he exceeded expectations out of Oregon. I loved him, but
remember James Robinson, 7th round pick. The guy was an absolute monster in Jacksonville for one season, but he was a 7th round pick, and the new regime came in and they're like, "Thanks for your service, but here you go, move on. Like we're going elsewhere." So for Bucky Irving, 4th round pick is not exactly a 1st round capital. So
no.
I do have
Jason. Hold on, real quick. He said everyone's excited for Bucky Irving because they got rid of Rashad White. In my mind, it's a downgrade getting rid of Rashad White because they brought in Kenneth Gainwell.
Right.
Like
Rashad
that's
White,
downgrade.
Rashad White had one really good season, and that was bolstered by volume. He was, I think, Kenneth Gainwell, what we saw last year was more than what we've seen from Rashad White last year.
We have no idea how the Cardinals are going to deploy their backfield. It's going to be Jeremiah Love. I would say 70%, 65%, and then who knows, man. Tyler Algier is going to get the short yardage stuff and be the actual handcuff.
We think
it's all about James Conner. It's all about James Conner. Do they keep him on the team, which we think they will, just based on the fact he's a cancer survivor. He's a team leader. He's a community man. They love him there in Arizona.
Yeah,
like they can't cut him. And is he just going to hold a clipboard? Is it going to be is he literally going to be like a backup running back holding a clipboard, not seeing the field?
I mean, Conner had slowed down, but it's not like he lost a big step last year before the injury. It's the injury that absolutely cratered his season. So Benson is gone. You can mark that. Like they're not holding on to Trey Benson. They is it Bam Knight or Amari DiMarcado that they re-signed? I can never remember.
Bam Knight that's on the team because
so
also Michael Carter. There was 3 of those fucking.
Yeah, so one of them's a special teams guy, so he'll be hanging around. There'll be a game day inactive, but the big question is how they divvy up the touches between Conner, Love, and Tyler Algier. That is yet to be seen. I don't think you draft a guy 3rd overall to not use him, but like, what is not using him in today's NFL? Is 70%? Is that good enough on a team like Arizona? Is that good enough to move the needle as a 2nd round pick?
Also, Story, what comes with being drafted 3rd overall is you get paid for that draft slot, not your position slot. So he is getting paid. It's like $50+ million. So like he is the second or third highest paid running back in all of the NFL day one. So you got the draft capital and the money they're paying him. Now, bad franchise, they do dumb things. We don't know, but like, and the fact he's an perceived to be an all-time talent, or maybe at least very elite talent. Like all those things should be Jeremiah Love. You're gonna run until you get hurt. You're gonna get 23 touches a game. That's what they should do. But we don't know if they're going to do that.
What they should, but that's what they should have done with Ashton Genty last year. But they slow rolled him into the season. And the question is, like, do they do this? Like, is this we're going to protect our investment versus we're going to give him all the touches? I don't know. I don't know how this Cardinals organization looks at that draft pick. I think it was a panic pick, realistically.
And there is 0%, and I want to say 0% because that's crazy to say, but 0.01% the Cardinals make the playoffs. Their division is the toughest division in football.
Making the playoffs with Seattle, Los Angeles, and San Francisco in that division.
They're not.
And in the NFC.
And Jacoby Brissett. Brissett playing quarterback.
And their defense is still pretty trash. So
there's no point in saving them. If anything, they would shut them down at the end of the year. That's the worry because they want to tank. That's the worry in my mind.
Yeah, but NFL teams don't really do that. We see them slow roll rookies, but we don't see them really shut down players unless they're actively tanking, like we saw in Miami and Tampa Bay years ago.
All right, that's it for us, guys. If you want more questions answered, I will be in the Discord tonight, chatting with all the boys. Go to the website, go to the link in the description, get in that Discord. You got to sign up for the Patreon first, then get in the Discord, and we'll have some chats tonight, as well as tomorrow again, Tom TD, 9:30 p.m. Central. We'll be talking winners and losers from the NFL draft. We appreciate Mike Storey for coming on, as always. Great insight, great comedy, hating on some coaches. You know the drill with Storey. That's what he does.
You know how he does it.
We do it. Jason, I'll send you an email here once I get off the show in about a minute. Appreciate you, Storey. Appreciate the community. Thank you, Mal, for the super chats. Again, check out Downtown Sports. Link in the description for that as well. Or just search Downtown Sports wherever you find podcasts or on YouTube. Appreciate you, buddy. We'll be on tomorrow night. I'll see you in a couple weeks whenever you get back in town. We'll figure it out.
I can probably I'm only in Indy for 3 days next week, so I can probably carve out some time for landing spots for wide receivers and quarterbacks later in the week.
Carve out a little role like Jaden Reed down the road. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Love your life. Stay positive and respect each other. We out.
Just seemed like a good dude. I thought I'd see if you wanted to grab a beer, that's all. I'm glad you called. We get home safe, Pistol.
You got it, Jobin.
I'm sorry, what?
Nothing.
Oh, what'd you say?
I don't know. You nicknamed me Pistol, and I just called you Jobin. It means nothing. I'm drunk. I'm gonna call a cab.
All right, man. You have my number, yeah? I got you